Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. My martial arts will become an evil god. Chapter 61. It's still the same restaurant not far from Fang Ping's house. There was still no one else in the restaurant. Boom. Jin Feng put a large suitcase on the table and handed over a certificate and a booklet at the same time. Mr. Fang, this is your certificate. In the box is the Fel energy inhibitor you want. As for this booklet, it describes your rights and obligations in detail. You can see that I didn't lie to you before. Fang Ping took the certificate and saw that the second page was his own photo. It seems that he has also PA bit, and he looks even more handsome than himself. It's just that the photo doesn't have the kind of temperament of his own. The photo is good, Fang Ping said with a chuckle. He didn't open the box to check. From the energy fluctuations he sensed, he knew that there must be a lot of tooth inhibitors in it. He simply flipped through the booklet detailing his powers and obligations. 130. Most of it was what Jin Feng told him before, but the content was more detailed. But when he saw the last power, Fang Ping looked up at Jin Feng in surprise. Right to decide. In fact, Fang Ping was surprised by the two words in a series of details in parentheses after this power. Kill. Of course he knew that this person was definitely not a martial artist, but an ordinary person. And Jin Feng also seemed to know what Fang Ping was surprised about. When a monster incident occurs, it is usually accompanied by the involvement of a large number of ordinary people. Ensuring national security and social stability is our top priority. Monsters are not without wisdom. If people are safe, it is easy for monsters to seize this weakness, causing huge casualties to us. A certain degree of casualties is inevitable in dealing with monster incidents. In this regard, the state is not pedantic. Jin Feng explained. Of course, if possible, Mr. Fang will try to save those who can be saved. Hearing this, Fang Ping nodded, showing understanding. Although this is cruel to ordinary people involved in monster incidents. But for a country, it is most important to give priority to solving monsters and ensure the safety of the vast majority of people in society. However, although he has the power to kill, Fang Ping will not be idle to kill. He is not homicidal, and likes to kill innocent people indiscriminately. How can I give you the money to buy the Fel energy suppressor? Fang Ping put away the documents and brochures, looked at Jin Feng and asked. Haha, the Fel energy inhibitor this time should be regarded as a gift from me to Mr. Fang. However, this is already most of the inventory of the Haichuan Special Dispatch Office. If Mr. Fang wants to continue to buy a large amount of Fel energy inhibitors in the future, he needs to apply for a transfer from the above. At that time, it is estimated that Mr. Fang will have to pay for it, but Mr. Fang is our own person, and the price will definitely not be as expensive as selling to those warriors outside. Jin Feng said to Fang Ping with a smile. Okay, that's the gift. Inside the rental house. At this time, the four walls of the rental house were all covered with strong sound insulation materials. Because Fang Ping was worried that when he improved his martial arts in the future, others would be disturbed. Opening the large suitcase, Fang Ping showed a smile on his face when he looked at the neatly arranged Fel energy inhibitors. I finally got you guys. Fang Ping sighed with his fingers lightly stroking the blue Fel inhibitor with energy fluctuations. For these things, he spent a lot of energy, and even joined the special mediation. Then he looked at the evil god modifier in front of him. Host. Fang Ping. Martial arts. Dragon Royal 3 forms. First layer, Dirt Refinement Method. First layer, Sky Poison Art. First layer, Hunyuan Gangqi. Second layer, Arahant Purifying Qi Method. Fourth layer, Sanyang Zhengfa Dacheng Burning Lamp Method. Xiaocheng, 9 figures and 6 sitting statues. Eighth layer, 3 Body Sealing Method. Third layer, Longxiang Immovable Body. Second layer, Tianxin Zhengfa. Second floor, Tianxin Beidou Secret Method complete. Origin. 12. At this time, the martial arts on the evil god modifier are much less. Because those martial arts that have reached consummation, he basically integrates them into other similar exercises. For example, the Golden Bell Hood's iron skills were integrated into the dragon elephant's body. The inner Qi methods such as the Diamond Pile Gong are integrated into the Hunyuan Gang Qi. The Iron Sand Palm and the Toad Gong Poison Art were merged by him to construct a new practice method, and then spent 1 point of elemental essence to upgrade it to the Sky Poison Art. Fang Ping's combat power does not depend on poison, but it is undeniable that these strange poisons have helped him a lot before him. Great effect. Therefore, Fang Ping did not abandon the poison art, and even used origin quality to enhance it even more terrifying. As for why the exercises obtained through deduction are called sky poison exercises, maybe it's because he subconsciously thinks the name Tianxin poison is not bad. And the newly obtained heavenly heart dharma was taught to him by Luo Yongye yesterday. This exercise is a follow-up exercise after cultivating Tianxinquan to break through the limits of the human body. According to Luo Yongye, this exercise is the exercise of the Tianxin line of Weishu Mountain. His father was a disciple of Qingshu Mountain's Tianxin lineage. Later, he left Qingshu Mountain with anger and founded Tianxin Boxing Gym. The amazing thing is that this Tianxin Zhengfa is clearly a practice that can only be practiced after breaking through the limits of the human body. But perhaps because of the Cthulhu modifier, Fang Ping can also be directly improved. If it weren't for the lack of follow-up content, Fang Ping would probably have upgraded this technique to its full level by now. Which skill should I improve first? Seeing so many martial arts in the Cthulhu modifier, Fang Ping thought carefully. In fact, what he wanted to improve the most was primordial astral qi. Because this is his energy source. After the astral qi increases, he can continue to improve other martial arts. But unfortunately, Hunyuan Gangqi is too aggressive and domineering. If you want to improve this martial art, you must first improve the internal organs and strengthen the strength of various internal organs in the body. Although he now has dozens of fel energy suppressors, but the total energy contained in it is not as much as he imagined. Even with the astral qi in his body, it is estimated that he cannot improve two martial arts at the same time. Therefore, he can only choose one martial arts promotion now. The energy is still not enough. Looking at the martial arts still waiting to be improved, Fang Ping once again felt that the energy was not enough. After some deliberation, Fang Ping finally decided to raise the dragon elephant without moving. Just tomorrow, I will go to Dingyuan City to improve the physical strength, strengthen the defense, and be more secure. After deciding, Fang Ping directly opened all the corks of the fel energy suppressor. He tilted his head and poured it all into his mouth. Cluck cluck. After drinking all the fel energy suppressor, Fang Ping wiped the corner of his mouth and looked directly at the evil god modifier. The dragon elephant doesn't move. Lift up. Dingyuan City. In the box of a restaurant, several people were eating. Baihemin, people from Dengxin Pavilion have also arrived. After dinner, let's go over and have a reconciliation with them. After Luo Yongye glanced at the message received on the mobile phone, he looked at the three and said, "Master, didn't you say before that Tai Suamin would also come?" Hearing his words, Bai Manya asked strangely. It was agreed that they would arrive today, but they seem to have encountered something that was delayed, and they can't arrive until the evening. Luo Yongye replied, "Master, when do you plan to attack Jin Chanman?" Fang Ping asked curiously. He is a little impatient to rush into the Golden Toad Gate and kill. The Big Dipper secret technique has already reached the perfect state by the end of the day. But the 7-star acupoints in the body have not been filled with vitality for a long time. This made him very uncomfortable. If you think about it, that's almost 7 lives. With 7 lives with him, Fang Ping felt a strong sense of security just thinking about it. The world is too dangerous, and accidents may happen at any time. He desperately wanted to enhance his life-saving means. Hee, don't worry, I know you just broke through the limits of the human body, and now you are eager to try. Luo Yongye smiled and looked at Fang Ping. However, I still want to remind you that in the real battle, any accidents may occur. It is difficult to defeat the strong by the weak, but there are not a lot of such things happening, just like you were able to kill Zhu Wen's in the first place, so you must not be careless. After speaking, Luo Yongye had already instructed Fang Ping very seriously. Don't worry, Master, I won't be careless, but I'm very afraid of death. Hearing this, Fang Ping also nodded seriously. Fang Ping's physical strength has been greatly improved because he raised the dragon elephant to the 3rd floor last night. The height is obviously higher than before, and it is estimated that it is almost 1.9 meters. The body is also stronger than before. Even under normal conditions, Fang Ping can already be described as having broad shoulders, slender waist and long legs. From the back, it looks like a perfect inverted triangle figure. The shoulders and waist form a perfect inverted triangle, and the waist and hips form a triangle. The two triangles are connected, making Fang Ping's figure perfect. Like the perfect combination of strength and size. You must know that in this powerful world, there is no such thing as martial arts novels, that each size has its own advantages. Because of the non-human physical quality of the limit-breaking warriors, they are powerful. Putting aside the more special cases and reasons. Tall is to be able to suppress the short stature. Long hands and feet is an advantage. The stronger the strength, the higher the realm of martial arts. The more Fang Ping found out what the white fight was. It's just the simplest things. Attack, defense and speed. I can kill you with one punch, but if I stand and let you hit, you can't kill me. You want to escape, but you can't escape. I want to escape, but you can't catch up. This is Fang Ping's perception and the realm he pursues. Master, junior brother Fang's body has changed so much, I feel that it has become much stronger. Bai Manya glanced at Fang Ping's figure with some envy and asked. If she could, she would also like to have a body like Fang Ping. It's so good for fighting, and she feels so handsome. If you have such a body, you must be very beautiful. It's a pity that Tianxin Fist and the following Tianxin Dharma are not very strong in strengthening the body. Your junior brother has just broken through the limits of the human body and is still in the period of strength transformation. Isn't it normal for your body to become stronger? Luo Yongye cast a glance at her. Hearing this, Bai Manya glanced at Fang Ping's tall and sturdy figure with envy. Especially the two bulging strong chest muscles on the chest. A female warrior is too big to be a weakness, but if it's all muscles, it's not a weakness. Even because of the strong and thick muscles, it can also play a certain protective effect on your heart. The headquarters of Jinchanmen is a building. On the surface, it is the headquarters building of a large group. And at this time in a room on the top floor of the building. A sturdy old man with two large steel balls constantly twirling in his broad palms stood in front of the huge French window. This old man is the owner of Jinshan Gate, Zhang Boyuan. Said to be an old man, but in fact Zhang Boyuan looked like he was in his 50s at most. But at this time, he looked out the window with his brows furrowed. The vast scenery that usually makes him high-spirited and joyous, but at this time it makes him unhappy. Dingyuan City is the base camp of Jinchanmen. Their network of relationships is extremely strong and extends almost everywhere. Therefore, when several sects entered Dingyuan City, they naturally knew it immediately. In fact, he already had this mental preparation when he learned about the death of Wang Hongtao and others. But being mentally prepared does not mean that there are preventive measures. In the face of the siege of several sects, especially when the Jinchanmen has now died of 4 limit-breaking warriors, his vitality has been severely damaged. Even more so, Zhang Boyuan had no good solution. He could only shrink with all his strength and gather all the strength of the Golden Toad Gate to guard against possible attacks. Sect Master Zhang seems to be very troubled. At this moment, a somewhat harsh female voice with a little smile suddenly sounded in this spacious room. Who? Zhang Boyuan snorted in an instant, turned his head to look directly at the location where the sound came from. I saw that behind him, in the center of the room, there was a woman shrouded in the black robe standing quietly. The wide black robe completely covered the woman's figure, and the large hood also covered most of the woman's face. Only a crystal clear chin was still exposed. A strange, unhuman breath lingered around the woman. Who are you? Zhang Boyuan stared at the woman with vigilance in his eyes and asked in a deep voice. Not everyone can come to his room. And it wasn't until she spoke out that he discovered her existence. The strength of this strange woman is definitely not simple. Especially when he sensed the strange aura of this woman that was not like a human being, there was some panic in his heart. Who am I? Hehe, Zhongminmu shouldn't be able to guess, right? The woman chuckled lightly, but the sound was a bit harsh, with an uncomfortable feeling of rubbing against glass. Or, does Sect Master Zhang really think that his little actions can hide from everyone? He was directly told his biggest secret in person. Zhang Boyuan's fists clenched instantly, and his eyes were full of killing intent when he looked at this woman. It seems that it is about to explode at any time and kill people. Staring at him, his eyes are full of fear, vigilance, fear and a little panic. Taking a deep breath, Zhang Boyuan spit out 3 words word by word. Yuan, demon, Zong. You guessed it right, but unfortunately there is no reward. Hearing Zhang Boyuan's words, the woman laughed. Hearing her directly admitting her identity, Zhang Boyuan's pupils shrank slightly. Aren't you afraid that I will report it directly to the special mediator? Zhang Boyuan said in a deep voice. The corners of the woman's crystal clear mouth twitched slightly. Report it to the special mediation agency. Will there be something I don't know, but you can't hide it? Do you think the special mediation agency will let you go? Hearing this, Zhang Boyuan's face was a little gloomy. If his matter is exposed, the special mediation will never let him go. Zhang Boyuan, what are you doing here with me? Of course I'm here to save you. You Jinchanmen have lost so many limit-breaking warriors, and you can't resist the alliance of several sects. How? Join us, you will not only be able to survive this catastrophe, but also your strength will be further improved. Ordinary people, but there is no chance to join. The black-robed woman's voice was full of bewitchment. You can use the little technology we left behind to cultivate those little guys so well, your ability is good. If it weren't for this, we wouldn't even look at you at all. Listening to her words, Zhang Boyuan's expression changed slightly. Have you seen it? Of course, otherwise how can you be sure that your ability is good? Hearing this, Zhang Boyuan fell silent for a while, and his face became very uncertain. The limit-breaking warrior uses the flesh and blood of monsters to break through the limitations of the human body, turning himself into a weakened version of the monster, but still has his own thoughts and reason. Between humans and monsters, the limit-breaking warriors are more inclined to be humans. But in this world, there will always be some radical lunatics. Since they all want to break through the limitations of the human body, why should they settle for the next best thing and become a weakened version of the monster? Just for that ridiculous sanity and approval. Why can't you just turn into a monster? Human life is too fragile, and the physical body is too limited. But after becoming a monster, all this is no longer a problem. So a long time ago, a group of radical warriors established Yuan Mozong. Even the original primordial demon sect was not called this name, but the Yuan demon sect. Because these radical warriors discovered that the source of the monster was a more powerful and strange existence after exploring and researching. So their ambitions go a step further. Since it is going to change, of course it has to become the most powerful creature. Because of this ambition, their actions are extremely crazy, and the harm caused is even greater than that of monsters. Therefore, from ancient times to the present, they have always been completely targeted. The special mediation's priority for chasing and killing these lunatics from Yuan Mozong is even higher than that of destroying monsters. Zhang Boyuan's face was constantly changing, and his eyes were even more flickering and hesitant. If he joins, once the matter is exposed, he will completely become a lost dog and a public enemy of the whole people. If you don't join, will this catastrophe be overcome? Seeing Zhang Boyuan's hesitation, the woman gave him a half-smiling look. Besides the last step, do you think there is any difference between you and us? As soon as these words came out, it was like the last straw that broke the camel's back. Closing his eyes, he let out a deep breath, and when he opened his eyes again, Zhang Boyuan's eyes became much calmer. How are you going to help me? You should know that if your whereabouts are exposed, the special mediation will definitely intervene. Zhang Boyuan looked at the woman calmly and asked. Smart choice, don't worry, we naturally have our means, and we guarantee that the special mediation will not find it, you just need to show a normal response. In a flash before his eyes, Zhang Boyuan's pupils shrank. Because the figure of the black-robed woman was no longer in front of his eyes, only the voice with a strange smile still sounded in the room. But he couldn't even notice how the other party left. A street side under the building. A beautiful woman with fair skin and beautiful body, with a graceful figure and extremely seductive eyes, she walked a little lazily. How did he agree to join? A low voice came from the Bluetooth earphone in the ear. The corner of the beauty's mouth slightly raised. Of course, Zhang Boyuan is a smart person, he knows very well that he has only our choice now. As for your side, you'd better make sure that your bugs don't go wrong, otherwise, if you are caught by special interrogation, I won't save you. Hey, I don't have to worry about you here. At this time, I saw her winking at a young man on the side of the road. The man immediately walked into a hotel with her as if he had been hooked. 10 minutes later, the beauty walked out of the hotel as if she was full. After walking a few steps, he came to the trash can on the side of the road again, and spat out a piece of finger from his mouth. The night in Dingyuan City is no different from that in Haichuan City. At this time, the people from Tai Suimin arrived late to meet with everyone. Sorry, everyone, I'm late at Tai Suimin. The leader of Tai Suimin is a big man with a very ferocious appearance, and that face alone can make children cry. As soon as this person came, he apologized to everyone. Although people from the other two sects have opinions in their hearts, they also express their understanding. It's just that Fang Ping looked at these people with some surprise in his eyes. The thing in their hearts, twisting and twisting, how can it feel like a bug? The martial arts practiced by Tai Suimin still need to put a bug in the heart. Fang Ping was surprised, because from his special perspective, he could see that there were bugs crawling in the hearts of the people of Tai Suimin. But because of the different martial arts in this world, Fang Ping was only surprised, but he didn't think about other aspects. Everyone, I won't say anything unnecessary. The crimes of Jin Chanman are hard to write, and tonight is the day of his demise. The head of Baihemin looked at everyone and said aloud. Then a group of people rushed directly into the Jinchanmen building. The strength of several sects has gathered, and the strength is far superior to that of Jinchanmen, so there is no need for too many strategies. Directly destroying the disciples of the Golden Toad sect and making a final decision is the easiest way. After rushing into the building, the crowd began to disperse. But at this time, Fang Ping suddenly felt that the electrons in the hearts of the Taiswimen began to emit a strange fluctuation. A wave of fluctuations converged and spread wildly around. Seeing this scene, Fang Ping's eyes narrowed. This kind of method is not like a method that people of Tai Suimin can possess. Boom, boom. In the building in the dark night, various movements continued to sound. Screams, howls, screams, roars. Countless voices echoed in the building. The people of Jinchanmen and the people of several sects scuffled into a group. People are constantly being killed and dying. But more people died from the Golden Toad Gate. The number and strength of the two sides are a bit different. Bai Manya and Zhou Nan from Tianxin Boxing Gym were very conspicuous in the crowd. Because they kill far more people than others. Ha ha ha, cool. Bai Manya laughed excitedly during the battle. He and Zhou Nan were like two gods of death. Even if the person hit by the fist was not killed on the spot, after a few seconds, the whole body would immediately turn black, rotten, and scream in pain. Looking at the tragic state of those people, the people from the surrounding sects all looked at the two Baimanya who were massacred in the crowd with some horror. Aren't they from the Tianxin Fist Gym? How could there be such a terrifying poison in their qi? A limit-breaking martial artist from Baihemin asked in some panic. But no one around could answer his question. The smell of blood quickly spread, and all people subconsciously stayed away from Baimanya. For fear of their interest in killing, he mistakenly killed himself as someone from the Golden Toad sect. And this time on a higher floor. The sect masters of several sects were already besieging Zhang Boyuan. Confused, I saw Zhang Boyuan at this time, the muscles all over his body swelled abnormally, and his hands were even bigger. Especially at the neck, it expanded several times, and the thick blue veins burst out. The whole neck kept shrinking and bulging, and a strange, but incomparably loud voice sounded from his neck. Mild. Looking at the few people who continued to besiege, Zhang Boyuan squatted down, his neck swelled hugely, and he let out a deafening strange cry. The moment the ground burst, Zhang Boyuan collided with several people in an instant. Boom. Several people flew out in an instant. And Zhang Boyuan's palms also burst violently, revealing the pale metacarpal bones. But this was not caused by the attacks of those people, but because he himself exploded the flesh and blood in his hands. But even though he had blasted the flesh and blood of his palm, AJBF, some black lines still appeared on the bones. Zhang Boyuan looked at Luo Yongye with an extremely ugly expression. You poisoned. Jin Chan Gong specializes in inner qi, because qi is far more powerful than other limit-breaking martial artists. In addition, his strength is a few people higher than before. Therefore, even if it was a few people, it did not fall into a big disadvantage in a short period of time. But Luo Yong's poison in the industry caused him serious trouble. It is like the maggots of the Tarsus. Not only will it erode his flesh and blood, but it will even spread to the ministers of inner qi. Forcing Zhang Boyuan to give up the flesh and blood of his palms, he forced out the inner qi that was infected by toxins. But even so, the toxin still invaded his body. The sect masters of Baihe sect also looked at Luo Yongye in amazement at this time. Surprised that he has such a strange method. Cough, I didn't expect that sect master Zong's strength seems to be stronger than before, but is it possible that if you allow the people of Jinshan sect to use poison, others won't be able to use it? Luo Yongye coughed and looked at Zhang Boyuan vigilantly. Zhang Boyuan's strength exceeded his previous estimates, and he was able to face several of them at the same time without falling behind. However, seeing that Zhang Boyuan had already been poisoned by the poison of his own heart, Luo Yongye was relieved a lot. He knew that as the poison of Tianxin spreads, Zhang Boyuan's strength will only become weaker and weaker. Damn primordial demon sect, didn't you say you would help me? How about you? I watched a few people start to gather around again, and then listened to the countless sounds and screams from downstairs. Thinking that his disciples were being slaughtered, Zhang Boyuan's eyes became extremely red with anger. In particular, he felt that the strange toxin in his hand that could not be dispelled at all had begun to spread towards his body. Zhang Boyuan felt a deep despair. In his angry red eyes, under the persecution of despair, the color of madness has become more and more. Resentment, hatred, anger, despair. You forced me to. You all forced me. Zhang Boyuan's demeanor was insane, and he roared like a madman. With a bang, he stepped on it fiercely, and instantly stepped on a huge hole on the floor under his feet. I saw Zhang Boyuan rushed down the big hole that ran through the floor in an instant. Bang bang bang. With a loud roar, the entire building began to vibrate continuously. Floor after floor was penetrated by Zhang Boyuan. He rushed towards the bottom of the building at a frantic speed. And this time, on the roof of a mall opposite this building, there were two men and women in black robes. He heard the movement of seeing the floor on the opposite side being penetrated, and Zhang Boyuan's desperate roar. The corner of the black-robed woman's mouth lifted slightly. He has too many concerns, and it is impossible to take the last step, so we need a little help from us. This time, he can only take that step. Hearing this, the man in black robe next to her looked at her. You are really poisonous. Under the moonlight, the black-robed man's skin under the hood was extremely pale, like a dead man. A pair of completely dark eyes glowed with a cold light, and there were countless teeth in the mouth when he spoke. The woman covered her mouth and chuckled. Each other, how is your bug? Having devoured enough flesh and blood, the worm demon formed by fusion is enough to help him block the people in the special adjustment department. That's good. Somewhere in the shadows outside the building. Fang Ping looked around, feeling the strange fluctuations in the air from all directions. A look of shock appeared in his eyes. Could this be the backhand prepared by Jin Chanman? If that's the case, aren't the people from Taiswiman already with the Jin Chanman? Fang Ping frowned. Thinking of Luo Yongye and others in the building, Fang Ping immediately prepared to go up and take them away. But it hasn't waited for him to act. Boom! A loud bang suddenly sounded on the first floor of the building. Boom! Fang Ping was just about to make a move. A loud bang sounded on the first floor of the building. Fang Ping's eyes narrowed, only to see a mad figure blasting directly through the floor and hitting the ground on the first floor. It's the gatekeeper of the Golden Toad Gate. Before he started, Luo Yongye showed him a photo of Zhang Boyuan and reminded him to avoid this person. Seeing Zhang Boyuan's crazy face, as if he had completely lost his mind, Fang Ping frowned slightly. Why does this guy look like he is going to use some means of perishing? The reason why he didn't rush into the building just now was to absorb the vitality of those people in the Golden Toad Gate. In addition to the fact that there are too many people inside, it is inconvenient for him to move. Mainly because of the weird fluctuations in the surrounding air. He could feel the fluctuation as if it was giving birth to something. May be dangerous, so to be on the safe side, Fang Ping did not rush up with the crowd, but exited the building. At this time, Zhang Boyuan, who had fallen down from the building, dodged, rushed through a corner and disappeared shortly after. Is really gone. Fang Ping couldn't sense his breath. Thinking of Luo Yongye who were still in the building, Fang Ping's brows furrowed even deeper. After sensing the strange fluctuations in the air again, Fang Ping's eyes were sure. It should take a while for the gathering to be completed, and the battle will be resolved quickly. It was estimated that it would take some time for the strange fluctuations to converge to the peak, so Wanping followed directly. Although he didn't know what means this guy was going to use. But try to stop him. Otherwise, it is still a question whether Luo Yongye can survive or not. Fang Ping got along well with them, and if he could, he naturally wouldn't watch them die. Of course, he wouldn't put his own work in to save people. The reason why he dared to follow is because he is very sure that he can kill this Zhang Boyuan directly. After turning several corners in the building, a wall appeared in front of him. Boom. Fortunately, this guy has Lao Su's poison. With a flash of eyes, Fang Ping stepped forward and kicked a big hole in the wall. Behind the wall is a deep downward passage. All around the channel is smeared with peculiar materials, and it is this material that isolates Fang Ping's induction. But unfortunately, this thing can hinder Fang Ping's ability to sense, but it can't affect his sense of poison. When Zhang Boyuan directly fought with Luo Yongye and others, he was poisoned by Luo Yongye's anger. So Fang Ping could barely sense his position. Sensing that Zhang Boyuan's movement had stopped, Fang Ping rushed directly into the passage. But what Fang Ping didn't notice was, in the corner of the ceiling next to it, a spider the size of a little finger was lying on a web, with several black compound eyes looking at this side quietly. On the roof of the mall opposite the building. The black-robed girl suddenly changed her expression slightly. What's wrong? The black-robed man next to him asked strangely. Zhang Boyuan's place seems to have been discovered. The black-robed woman said with some interest. Hearing this, the black-robed man frowned. Hurry up and deal with it. Zhang Boyuan's transformation ceremony cannot be destroyed. With his current strength, after he is completely transformed into a monster, he can definitely reach the soul level. A soul-level combat power, for the actions of Qingshu Mountain in the future. It's just that before he finished speaking, his face suddenly changed. Body explodes. Boom. An incomparably huge cut appeared where he was just now. The entire roof of the mall was completely split directly by this one. You. The black-robed man raised his head angrily, but the figure of the black-robed woman disappeared. Next time you dare to order me, I will kill you. A strange and icy voice drifted in the air. And now at the end of that passage. It's almost tens of meters underground. It looks like a room that is not small in size, like a laboratory. A platform is huge and very precise instruments are placed in it. And on the ground in the middle lay several researchers wearing lab coats who had just been beaten to death by Zhang Boyuan. On the right side of the laboratory, there are several circular glass containers half a meter wide and 2 meters high. These containers are filled with a liquid similar to a fel inhibitor, and in these liquids, a toad-shaped monster with different shapes and appearances is soaked in each. One is covered with pustule-like eyeballs, and the other is covered with thin green fluff, floating in the liquid. The last one is small in size, but has 6 pairs of hook claws similar to worm feet growing out of its abdomen. At this moment, Zhang Boyuan was standing in front of the 3 cylindrical containers soaked with monsters. You all forced me. Looking at his completely rotten arms, Zhang Boyuan's eyes were full of madness. Then I saw him directly pick up the 3 semi-flexible pipes connecting the 3 cylindrical containers. With a puff, the sharp front end of the 3 official rods penetrated directly and deeply into his body. What? Zhang Boyuan's face was instantly distorted, and a shrill scream sounded from his mouth. Gurgle. The liquid in the 3 containers was bubbling continuously and poured into his body rapidly along the pipeline. And when those liquids dropped below half, the 3 monsters immersed in the liquid opened their eyes at the same time. Boom. The container burst instantly. The 3 monsters rushed towards Zhang Boyuan directly. Boom. Fang Ping directly crashed into the wall on the left side of the passage. Hiss. The next moment, along the direction of the passage, a huge crack appeared on the ground of the passage. Looking at this crack, Fang Ping's pupils shrank. With a puff, he pulled himself out of the wall. Fang Ping's gaze was directed towards the entrance of the passage. I saw a woman in a black robe standing at the entrance, also looking at him. Interesting, I actually escaped. But the things below are not for you to see. The woman looked at Fang Ping in amazement, and seemed very interested in him. Zhang Boyuan's shrill scream echoed throughout the passage. But at this time Fang Ping no longer cares about him. All his attention was now on this woman. Who are you? Feeling the strong sense of threat from this woman, Fang Ping asked with narrowed eyes. Thump thump. Feeling a strong sense of threat that he hadn't felt for a long time, Fang Ping seemed to hear his own heartbeat. Blood is flowing rapidly. It seemed to awaken the muscles in his body that had been sleeping for a long time. Like, getting a little excited. Thump thump. The heart beats gradually faster. The blood that drives the whole body is also flowing faster and faster. The sleeping muscles of the whole body are gradually awakened by the violent flow of blood. The power that has been hidden on weekdays began to soothing inch by inch. Maybe it's because I haven't used my full strength for too long. At this time, after feeling the strong sense of threat from this woman, he actually had a very strange feeling. That feeling is called excitement. The body was hot, and the muscles all over the body were shaking with excitement. Come on, come fight. Every inch of skin that was gradually tightening seemed to be calling Fang Ping. You can call me Spider-Girl. Looking at Fang Ping, the black-robed woman said with great interest. Originally, she planned to kill Fang Ping directly. But this ant, who was completely worthless in her eyes, actually escaped her attack directly. This piqued her interest. Feeling the excitement in his body, Fang Ping looked up at the Spider-Girl, the corners of his mouth raised slightly, and a smile slowly appeared. Maybe I should thank you. Thank you for bringing this excitement back to me. This dangerous world has always made me, who is cautious by nature, live in unease. I need to vent. Fang Ping spoke softly. He has always lived very carefully because he was worried about all kinds of dangers. Although his strength continues to improve. But the enemies he encountered were either too weak, not his hands at all, or too strong, which made him think more about life-saving. In fact, he desperately needs a good vent. To vent the depression, vent the uneasiness, vent all the unpleasantness that is buried deep in my heart. And this spider woman in front of her is a perfect object. The strength is not weak, it can give him a strong sense of threat, but it is not so strong that he can't deal with it at all. Everything fits so well. And hearing this ant that could be crushed to death suddenly made such a declaration, the Spider-Girl blinked her eyes and suddenly felt like she wanted to laugh. But these funny words made her feel that this ant was completely different from other ants. Well, this one is more silly and silly fun. Hee hee, little guy, you are so interesting, I suddenly found that I like you a little bit, why don't you be my pet? Just be responsible for making me happy every day. The Spider-Girl looked at Fang Ping and laughed, and the smiling flowers trembled as she suggested. Seeing the Spider-Girl smiling so happily, the corners of Fang Ping's mouth became more curved. Brat, mine is very big, you may need to bear with it. Hiss. His clothes burst instantly. A dangerous aura instantly rose from Fang Ping's body. Muscles swelled wildly. The moment she sensed the breath on Fang Ping's body, the Spider-Girl's pupils instantly shrank. She felt the fluff all over her body explode. This guy. Looking at the figure in front of her that seemed to have changed completely, with a dangerous figure all over her body, the Spider-Girl's eyes were full of vigilance. In the pale white evil light, a tall figure stood. Breaking through the height of 2 meters, his head almost touched the top of the passage. The incomparably sturdy arm, the numerous muscles on the body are stacked, and the layers of light dragon scale cuticles are covered. Stand with eyes closed. He raised his hands slightly and clenched them into fists. Boom! The action of clenching his fists instantly set off a gust of wind in the passage. Feel the mighty power in your body. Fang Ping's face was full of smiles. It's just that in this second-class state, the strength enhancement is so great. After the dragon elephant did not move up to the 3rd floor, Fang Ping's control of the body became more refined. Has been able to achieve this semi-transformed state. In this state, there will not be much abnormality in his body, but his strength will be greatly improved. Open your eyes slowly. The pair of broken golden vertical pupils that flashed violent colors looked at the Spider-Girl. The Spider-Woman sensed a deadly danger. Who the hell are you? You are definitely not an ordinary warrior. The Spider-Girl asked fearfully. An ant that feels like it can be killed easily has such a powerful real strength. Did this really happen by chance, or are you already waiting for yourself? Thinking of this possibility, the Spider-Girl's pupils shrank instantly. You are a special mediator. The Spider-Girl looked at Fang Ping with a cold expression. Fang Ping's face showed a touch of irritability when he heard the Spider-Girl babbling. Your nonsense. The voice just started. Boom. In the roar, a figure instantly appeared beside the spider girl. It's really a lot. The second half of the sentence rang in the ears of the spider girl. Boom. The next moment, the spider girl's head was smashed to the ground by Fang Ping. The terrifying force instantly destroyed the ground, and a large pit appeared. Countless tiny cracks spread wildly around. But in the next second, with a loud bang, Fang Ping was blasted away, smashing through the wall and hitting a parked car outside. The car was instantly crushed. I am going to kill you. An extremely angry scream came from under the big pit. Then a terrifying monster climbed up from the big pit. A huge spider with a height of 4 meters, exuding a thick evil spirit. Only the head remained in human form. But that beautiful face was smashed by Fang Ping's attack just now, and 4 cuts appeared on the bloody face. There are eyeballs in the mouth. But at this moment, the 6 eyes were full of anger and looked at Fang Ping, who just got up not far away. Thick and sharp spider legs cut through the ground instantly. The huge body of the spider girl flashed over. Boom. The car under Fang Ping was instantly cut in two and exploded. At the same time, what exploded was the back of the spider girl's demonic energy. Full of corrosive flesh and blood, Fang Ping's figure appeared on her back. The arm, which was thicker than a thigh, was deeply inserted into the flesh and blood under the shell of her back. The pale light continued to bloom, and a huge incomparable vitality poured into the acupoints in the body crazily. I said that I am very big, you have to bear with it. Fang Ping's expression was very ferocious. Boom boom. The next moment, his terrifying bombardment landed on the spider woman's back crazily. A torrential rain of flesh and blood instantly fell from the sky. Late at night, an extremely piercing alarm sounded from the Special Mediation Office in Dingyuan City. Director, there is a monster over at the Jinchen Gate, and the preliminary estimate is that the danger level is soul level. A young man shouted in shock. What? It's not that those sects are besieging the Jinchanmen tonight, how could a card-level monster suddenly appear? The director of Dingyuan City's Special Mediation Office was an emaciated middle-aged man. Hearing this, he was also shocked. Pulling the man away, he looked at the test results. After seeing that the results showed that it was indeed a soul level, a flash of fear flashed in his eyes. This is a soul level monster. He is quite aware of the power of soul level monsters. After all, his superior died at the hands of a soul level monster. But it was only a moment of entanglement. After he gritted his teeth, he finally shouted loudly. Everyone, bring the magic crystal and go to the area where the monsters appear. When he knew that there was a powerful monster incident in Haichuan next door, he was fortunate. Fortunately, he was not so unlucky in Dingyuan City. In the end, I didn't expect that it would be Dingyuan City's turn after such a long time. And the monsters that appeared were still more powerful soul-level monsters than the monster incident in Haichuan. After a while, a group of special mediators rushed towards the Jinchanmen headquarters building. At this time, outside the Jinchanmen headquarters building, bang bang, a huge roaring crash echoed wildly in the sky. In the pitch-black night sky, 2 figures, one black and one white, collided constantly. Every time it falls, rises, or the ground, or a building around it, explodes. At this time, the ground nearby has become extremely broken, and there are potholes and huge cracks everywhere. The surrounding buildings are even more collapsed, broken and broken. Several buildings were even cut into 2 parts. The whole scene looked extremely chaotic, as if it had been bombed all over again. Boom! With one kick, part of the spider girl's body was directly kicked out. The huge body fell heavily to the ground. A gas explosion sounded in the air, and a pale white meteor fell vertically. Boom boom boom. Ha 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 ha. Fang Ping laughed wildly with excitement. A pair of huge fists madly bombarded the spider girl below. That's the fun of fighting. That's the fun of fighting. This is a real even-handed battle, ha ha ha. Those fists like giant hammers kept falling. Fang Ping continued to brutally torture this evenly matched opponent. What? You say it's not evenly matched? I've been fighting for so long, and I haven't killed her yet, isn't this still evenly matched? At this time, the spider girl, who was pressed down by him, suffered from his repeated blows, and was constantly tortured by him, was also depressed and wanted to vomit blood after hearing Fang Ping's words. Can you still have a face? She felt that Fang Ping was not only torturing her body, but also her IQ. Demonic energy surged, and most of the head that had been smashed to pieces recovered. You can't kill me, the spider girl screamed at Fang Ping with a hoarse voice. Fang Ping's fist just forcibly slammed into her mouth, and her throat was broken. Really? Then see if your head recovers faster, or if I smash it faster. Fang Ping showed a hideous smile. And in a place far away, Luo Yongye and Bai Manya and Zhou Nan stood here, watching the terrifying battle in the night sky from a distance. The faces of several people were full of horror. Is that a soul-level monster? What a terrifying history. Then who is fighting that soul-level monster, who is not at all disadvantaged, and can even fight against that monster? Bai Manya said with a look of horror. Maybe it is a strong person who has broken through the secondary limit. Luo Yongye said casually. It's just that at this time, although he was shocked, he was more worried. Zhou Nan, haven't you contacted Fang Ping yet? Luo Yongye asked Zhou Nan worriedly. I can't get in touch at all. Zhou Nan shook his head. Hearing this, Luo Yongye's eyes darkened. Could it be that the disciple that he valued most just disappeared? Luo Yongye's eyes were a little red. He hated so much, why he didn't always pay attention to Fang Ping's position, and why he brought him here this time. He even hated why he agreed to participate in the operation to destroy the Golden Toad Gate. If you don't agree, none of this will happen. After Zhang Boyuan suddenly burst through the floor and rushed down, he had a bad feeling. So prepare to go down and meet with the disciples, and be ready to leave at any time. The other people felt the same way, so they went downstairs and gathered everyone together. Unexpectedly, at that time, the people of Tai Suimin had strange changes one by one. One by one, they started attacking everyone around them like crazy. In particular, their skin was torn, and a large number of black bugs were drilled from their bodies. Those black bugs are fast and talk to anyone. People who get into the body by insects will soon become the same as those from Tai Suimin. Even himself, in order to save Bai Manya, a black worm got into the back of his hand. Fortunately, his body has the poison of Tianxin. That kind of black bug, as soon as it got into his body, was poisoned by the poison of Tianxin. After that, he immediately killed the two disciples. But it wasn't until after they escaped that they realized that Fang Ping was not following them. When they wanted to go back to find Fang Ping, a terrifying battle between a strong man and a soul-level monster broke out under the building. They couldn't even get close, let alone look for Fang Ping's trail. So they had to retreat here and keep trying to contact Fang Ping. Master, don't worry too much, junior brother Fang has always been smart, and his luck has always been very good. Maybe he has already escaped, but he can't contact us for the time being. Beside Bai Manya looked at Luo Yongye's sad expression and persuaded. Hearing this, Luo Yongye was instantly shocked. Yes, Fang Ping's luck has always been so good, and it should be fine this time. So the group of three continued to stay in the distance, watching the situation here, and looking for Fang Ping's traces everywhere. But as they searched, they found something even more bizarre. I saw that on the street, on the side of the road, one by one with a dull expression, constantly moving towards the building. There was no anger in the eyes of these people, and it seemed that Luo Yongye and others could not be seen at all. He just kept walking towards the building on his own. Because the situation was too strange, Luo Yongye and the others did not dare to act rashly, and could only watch these people rushing over there. Soon, as everyone in the nearby area rushed to this side, the circle around the Jinchangmen headquarters building was already densely packed with people. Boom! The two rays of light in the air collided again. Fang Ping, who had a ferocious expression but was a little fanatical with excitement in his eyes, smashed the spider girl's head into a circle for the 18th time. The spider girl's huge body smashed heavily into the crowd on the ground. The bodies of a dozen people were directly crushed by the spider girl's huge body. Seeing this scene, Fang Ping suddenly discovered the abnormality around him. Because the breath of these ordinary people is too weak, they are like dead people. So he, who was completely immersed in the pleasure of fighting to vent before, directly ignored it subconsciously. What happened? Fang Ping frowned, his figure twisted in the air, the direction of the fall changed, and he landed in a place where no one was there. Looking at the strange-looking people around, Fang Ping's excitement gradually disappeared. Bang bang bang. But the next moment, these dull and strange people suddenly exploded one after another. Black and stinky blood instantly filled the ground. A black bug crawled out of the flesh and blood that burst out. One body after another exploded. Black blood flowed into rivers, and the stench drifted around. A wave of demonic energy began to emanate from the black blood. A strong demonic energy shrouded the entire surrounding area, forming an area like a ghost realm. Countless black worms crawling out of flesh and blood continued to gather and merge with each other. The more it gathered, the bigger it became, and it eventually turned into a huge ferocious giant worm. The giant worm is black in appearance and similar in shape to an earthworm, but it is countless times larger, like a giant python. The huge body, the diameter alone, is estimated to be about 1 meter. Roar. At the moment of taking shape, the giant worm roared in the sky, as if announcing its own birth. A powerful aura instantly shot up from the giant worm's body. At the same time, a figure in a black robe suddenly appeared beside the broken body of the spider girl in the distance. After so long, the spider girl, who had recovered half of her head, looked angrily at the figure next to her. Wanzong, you just watched me get killed, didn't you? At this time, the spider girl looked extremely miserable, her body was broken, and her breath was even weaker. In addition to the serious injury, and the recovery of the injury consumes a lot of energy. Also because in the battle just now, Fang Ping devoured a lot of vitality. You know, her head was bombarded 18 times by Fang Ping before. The huge body was torn apart by Fang Ping more than once. But even so, she was only seriously injured and became weak, but she did not die. It simply reflects the characteristics of monsters that are difficult to kill. Aren't you dead? This guy's strength is too strong, I wouldn't dare to appear in front of him before the worm demon condensed. Hearing the spider girl's words, the black-robed man glanced at Fang Ping with some fear and said with a smile. Hearing this, Fang Ping raised his eyebrows, even she is not my opponent. Do you think this trash bug, who is useless except for her size, will be my opponent? He pointed to the spider girl, then pointed to the worm demon and said. Hearing Fang Ping's words, the black-robed man Wanzong chuckled, although I am not good at fighting, as a soul-level existence, I can still hold you back. A ferocious aura belonging to a soul-level monster gradually surged from his body and rose up. As for this worm demon, its strongest is also not fighting, but enchantment. Enchantment. Fang Ping immediately looked around. I saw that the incomparably rich magical energy shrouded the surroundings just now, and at this time, a pitch-black magical energy barrier had already formed. It is completely isolated from the outside world. People outside can't get in, and people inside can't get out. Anymore. Seeing that you are so confident, there should be other means, and you should use them all. Fang Ping looked at the black-robed man calmly and said. Seeing that Fang Ping was still so calm in this situation, Wanzong's brows were slightly wrinkled, and he had a bad premonition in his heart. But thinking of the strength on his side, he instantly put this feeling behind him. How is it possible, even if the opponent is a top secondary extreme powerhouse whose strength is approaching the third limit, it is absolutely impossible for them to be their opponent. It seems that your excellency is very confident in your own strength, counting the time, the transformation ceremony should be almost over. Wanzong looked at Fang Ping and chuckled, his face full of confidence. It was as if killing Fang Ping was within his grasp. Moo. At this moment, a huge sound like a cow's roar suddenly came from the building behind him. Then a powerful momentum rose from under the building. With a bang, the building collapsed, and a black shadow jumped up from the collapsed ruins. Carrying a powerful magic energy, he rushed towards Fang Ping. Fang Ping turned back and kicked, his thick thighs pulled out like a giant python. The air on one side exploded instantly. With a bang, the huge black shadow was pulled upside down and flew back, and smashed into the ruins. But soon, the shadow jumped out again. It was a toad the size of a car, with eyes full of madness in the dense pustules on its body. The whole body was covered with fluff, and the pus that flowed from the eyeball pustules was constantly dripping. In addition to the 4 thick and disgusting legs under the body, there are also several pairs of sharp hooked feet under the abdomen. At this time, the eyes and the pustules on its body were all staring at Fang Ping with venomous malice. Seeing this newly appeared soul-level monster, Wanzong showed a satisfied smile on his face, and then looked at Fang Ping. Your Excellency is indeed powerful, but I don't know if we can deal with our 3 soul-level monsters at the same time, plus an insect demon at the peak of the spirit level. Wanzong's tone was full of sarcasm. And at this time, outside the magic enchantment, the director of Dingyuan City's Special Adjustment Office, just by judging the situation in the demonic barrier in front of him from the rising aura, his hands began to tremble. Gudong reluctantly swallowed the saliva, slightly moistening his astringent throat. 3 soul-level monsters, and a peak spirit-level monster. His voice was trembling, and the expression on his face was even uglier than crying. How can I, Dingyuan City, be able to allow 3 soul-level monsters to come together? He now only hopes that the strong man inside can delay it a little longer. But even so, he doesn't actually believe that it can be delayed for long. After all, this is a 3-headed soul-level monster. Not to mention Dingyuan City, even in the entire Sejong province, such a terrifying monster incident has not happened for many years. Back to the magic enchantment. Take him back. When he was fighting just now, he was able to extract my vitality. This guy is definitely not easy. The spider girl, whose whole head finally recovered completely, looked at Fang Ping and said. After she finished speaking, she suddenly groaned, and then she didn't know what to do, and the weak aura on her body suddenly became stronger. Seeing this scene, Fang Ping was slightly taken aback. Ha ha ha, you don't really think that was all my strength just now, did you? The reason why I keep fighting with you is because I don't want to destroy the transformation ceremony. Do you really think you can kill me so easily? The spider girl pointed at Fang Ping with a frantic smile. Looking at her crazy attitude, it was obvious that she was not as indifferent as she said. You just blasted my head 18 times and my body 10 times. When I catch you back, I will return it as soon as it is on you. Spider girl resentment looked at Fang Ping and said. Your Excellency, let's just grab it, maybe it will be less painful. Wanzong said with a contemptuous smile. All right. Following his words, the 3 monsters approached Fang Ping in unison. 3 powerful auras rolled towards Fang Ping in unison. Call. Looking at the approaching 3-headed monster, Fang Ping let out a sigh of relief. I admit that because I was suppressed for too long, I lost my temper just now. I was too immersed in the pleasure of venting, and I forgot my principles. Hearing his words, Wanzong laughed. What are you talking about? Do you think we'll let you go by pretending to be crazy? Fang Ping looked up at the spider girl. What you said just now is quite right. Then his eyes swept over a few monsters. Then, who told you? Fang Ping stared at them calmly. That was all my strength just now. In the broken golden vertical pupil, a cluster of dark fire was burning. The next moment, an incomparably bright pale white light instantly filled the entire surroundings. Boom, boom, a fierce and violent aura shot straight into the sky. The incomparably strong insect demon barrier in Wanzong's mouth was instantly pierced like a fragile piece of paper. The bright pale white light instantly illuminates the dark night sky. Blah, whether it was the spider girl, the 10,000 insects, the worm demon, and the toad demon transformed by Zhang Boyuan, they were all driven back by this violent aura by more than 10 meters. There was a long mark on the ground under his feet. Those people in the Dingyuan City Special Registry who were originally outside the enchantment were directly hit by the furious airflow that was rolled by the momentum and all flew backwards. How is it possible? The spider girl and Wanzong blocked their hands in front of them, looking at the figures that were faintly appearing in the countless pale rays of light in front of them with horror on their faces. Blah blah. I saw a tall and ferocious terrifying figure slowly walking out of the countless white lights. Every time you take a step, countless cracks will appear on the ground under your feet, cracking and spreading around. The huge body is more than 2 meters high, and the shoulder width alone is more than 1 meter. It is estimated that 2 adult men hold hands and hug each other, so that they can barely make a circle around this tall body. The muscles and dragon scales on the face are entangled and twisted as if to form a mask, with strange black lines all over the mask. The neck, which is even bigger than the head, has bulging veins and knotted muscles. On the huge body formed by the swelling, squeezing and stacking of countless muscles, the extremely hard dragon scale cuticle is dark and shiny, flashing with a steel-like cold texture. A large group of muscles on his shoulders bulged high, like a set of extremely thick shoulder armor. The arms, which are thicker than the waist of an adult, sway slightly, and the elbow muscles are pointed and long, like a slender and sharp counter blade. The claw blades in front of the hands became more ferocious, hard and sharp. The bundles of twisted muscles on the thighs are like steel bars, tree roots, entangled with each other, and the two thighs are like steel pillars, standing upright. A mass of cold flames was attached to the whole body, burning roaringly. It is like a ferocious demon god walking out of flames. Step by step, the flames burned in the thick footprints on the ground and the surrounding cracks. It's okay to make a mistake. The sound of the urn was like a thunderous explosion, and it was like the heavy sound of a giant hammer beating a drum from Fang Ping's mouth. In the cracked mouth, 2 rows of ferocious fangs can be clearly seen. As long as everyone who knows it is killed, no one will know. Fang Ping's white eyes were full of ferocity, and the tyrannical broken golden vertical pupils stared at several monsters. And now, I'll erase that mistake. Wan Zong looked at Fang Ping at this moment, trembling all over, and his dark eyes were full of fear. Ah, what a joke. What monster is this? With a throbbing heart and trembling hands, Wan Zong tried hard to turn his body and run away, but his legs felt a little weak. I'm not going to make mistakes. The surrounding air was freezing, Fang Ping's eyes were cold, and the corners of his mouth slowly cracked, revealing a cruel smile. Escape! The spider girl screamed in horror. Boom! But just as her voice sounded, the whole person exploded instantly, and the splashed flesh was ignited by the cold flame. In the light of the pale white light, it seemed to contort a large mouth, madly and greedily devouring the vitality of all the flesh and blood around it. You really think I can't kill you? The ferocious claws pinched the spider girl's head full of terror. Fang Ping smiled fiercely. Snapped. With a pinched finger, the spider girl's head was directly crushed. Boom. The next moment, the raging flames around him exploded instantly, drowning everything around him. In the raging flames, countless screams sounded. After half an hour, the director of the Special Mediation Office of Dingyuan City looked at the large dilapidated ruins in front of him with a bit of confusion. All the buildings within 100 meters around collapsed, and there were broken walls and debris everywhere, and countless cracks appeared on the ground. But other than that, all the soul-level monsters and the powerhouses disappeared. There was no sign of life in the entire ruined area. Even the corpse and bloodstains have dissipated. Is this the end? He looked bewildered and confused. Those 3 soul-level monsters just died like this. He is very aware of how difficult this level of monsters is. Unless special means are used, it is basically difficult to kill. But thinking of the terrifying power that I saw before, and the screams of countless monsters, he felt that his idea was right. Thinking of this, his spirit was shaken, and his eyes returned to clarity. Yes, it's over. His tone and expression were full of joy and excitement. Although hundreds of ordinary people died this time, compared to the incidents of soul-level monsters that have happened before, the casualties are nothing at all. What's more, this time, there are 3 terrifying monsters at the soul level and 1 monster at the peak of the spirit level. Only so many people died, if it wasn't because his special mediation had no effect at all. He has the heart to ask for merit from his superiors. At the same time, he was deeply shocked by the strength of that unknown powerhouse. Being able to crush and kill 3 soul-level monsters, the strength of this boss has probably exceeded the limit 3 times, right? Half an hour ago, he only hoped that the other party could delay a little longer. Half an hour later, all he had left was shock and joy. Thankful for the presence of this strong man. Otherwise, because of these 3 soul-level monsters, I am afraid that most of the people in Dingyuan City will die. Everyone, quickly deal with the scene to prevent the remaining demonic energy from spreading, and notify the police to completely block the surrounding area for the time being. Although he felt that there was no demonic energy in this area, for the sake of safety, he still directed his subordinates and began to carefully detect and deal with the entire ruined area. Master. On the other side of the ruins, looking at the 3 Luo Yongye who were still looking for him, Fang Ping suddenly shouted loudly. Fang Ping. Boom. Hearing his shout and seeing him intact, Luo Yongye immediately ran over with great excitement. But the feelings between men are not so exposed. Luo Yongye stretched out his hands excitedly and wanted to hug, but finally fell heavily on Fang Ping's shoulders. I knew that your boy had always been so lucky, and I knew that you would be in no trouble. Luo Yongye patted Fang Ping heavily and laughed excitedly. Hee, I escaped when I discovered the situation before, and was knocked unconscious by the aftermath of the battle over there, and I just woke up. Fang Ping, who was wearing clothes found in a nearby house, explained with a chuckle. No wonder I haven't been able to contact you before, junior brother Fang. You don't know, I haven't found any trace of you in this period of time, and the master is about to cry. Seeing that Fang Ping was intact, Bai Manya both breathed a sigh of relief, and then laughed and joked. Why don't you cry, what nonsense? Hearing Bai Manya's teasing, Luo Yongyi's face immediately flushed, and he immediately scolded. Hearing this, Bai Manya laughed lightly, and the always honest and old-fashioned senior brother Zhou Nan also raised the corner of his mouth. Let's go. Go back, this place is too dangerous. Ignoring the chuckles of several people, I looked at the ruins in the distance. Luo Yongye sighed with emotion and said with fear. Who would have thought that just a small action to destroy the Golden Toad Gate would gradually turn into such a dangerous thing? Then several people left Dingyuan City directly and returned to Haichuan. Only at this time in the center of Dingyuan, which is a long distance away from the ruins. A woman who was sleeping. In the heart and the chest, a sleeping little black worm suddenly trembled a few times, and then Su Xing came over. Twisting the small body, the subtle and weak demonic energy gradually dissipated, infecting this woman's body. The next moment, the sleeping woman suddenly twitched and twisted. It just quickly returned to normal. Opening her eyes suddenly, the woman gasped heavily. The face was full of fear, and the gradually darkened eyes were full of fear. Ha, I almost died, ha. Fortunately I split a worm here before. Wan Zong gasped in fear. He split this worm in advance, originally to prevent the crazy woman from Spider Girl from suddenly attacking. Unexpectedly, it actually saved his life. It's too dangerous here, you must leave quickly. At this time, thinking of that terrifying figure, Wan Zong's pupils suddenly shrank. Although he has just been resurrected with the help of the worm, he is still extremely weak. But just think that that terrifying being might still be around. Immediately, there was only one thought left in his mind to quickly escape from Dingyuan City. The farther away the better. The monster incident in Dingyuan City had a huge impact. After all, 3 soul-level monsters appeared, especially after clearing the ruins. The Special Mediation Office also discovered Zhang Boyuan's underground laboratory. Naturally, I immediately understood what Zhang Boyuan had been doing in secret for so many years. When it comes to Yuan Mozong, the special mediator relies on the huge state apparatus to continuously investigate and dig out the relevant truth of the matter. It's just that even though the state apparatus was called, the special mediator still did not find out the strong man who killed a soul-level monster, Cancer Wei. The only object of suspicion is Fang Ping, who was involved. Even their suspicions are very strong. But even if they were extremely suspicious, they still couldn't be sure that this person was Fang Ping. After all of this is just a level of suspicion, and there is no conclusive evidence. The senior management of the Special Mediation Office is not stupid. After seeing the file about Fang Ping submitted by Jin Feng before, they probably knew the character of Fang Ping. They don't have to question Fang Ping for this. It angered Fang Ping, and if he was forced to the side of Yuan Mozong, it would not be worth the loss. Anyway, from the current point of view, this strong man has been destroying monsters, not slaughtering humans. The two sides are on a united front. As long as this person does not act against the country and society, although they will still investigate secretly, they will not target them. Just keep a certain tacit understanding. However, after this incident, the confidentiality level of Fang Ping's files has risen a lot. But Fang Ping himself didn't know what happened in the senior management of the Special Mediation Office. After returning to Haichuan, his life basically returned to peace. Inside the room, feeling the 7 acupoints in his body filled with vitality, Fang Ping showed a satisfied smile on his face. This time, there was an accident in going to Dingyuan City to destroy the Golden Toad Gate. But the overall result is good. Originally, it was only to absorb the vitality of those who swallowed the Golden Toad Gate, and it is estimated that it can only fill up 2 whole beans at most. But now, it has devoured the vitality of the 3 soul-level monsters and the peak spirit-level insect demon. Not only did the 7 acupoints fill up, but even a part of the vitality was controlled by him within the body. Tianxin Beidou Secret Technique, Upgrade. As the number of essentia becomes 11. The name of the Beidou secret method gradually blurred, and then a more powerful secret method gradually formed. The secret technique of Zhou Tian, Level 1. Fang Ping sensed quietly, and then his eyes narrowed. The secret method of Zhou Tian, Improve. The realm of the new secret method began to improve rapidly. With the consumption of the qi in the body, Fang Ping's whole body is activated and opened one by one. Soon, when Fang Ping's body was almost exhausted, all acupuncture points on the whole body were activated and opened. Under the inner view, Fang Ping could clearly see that the hundreds of acupuncture points in his body seemed to have all turned into big mouths. It is shrinking open and closed. Inside the pitch-black mouth, it seems like bottomless black holes, desperately wanting to devour all life. The air in the room began to sway. Fang Ping's expression didn't change much when he looked at his acupuncture hole like a monster's big mouth. He has become accustomed to the changes in martial arts brought about by the heretic god modifier. It seems that we still need to find more monsters to feed these big mouths. Looking at those hideous acupuncture points in the body, and thinking of the huge amount of life force that might be required, Fang Ping also felt a little scalp tingling. If he only relied on his own vitality, it is estimated that he would have sucked his vitality more than a dozen times, and he would not be able to fill these hungry acupuncture holes. And how to absorb the vitality of those ordinary warriors, it is estimated that I don't know how many people to kill to do it. Therefore, in the end, his last purpose of devouring life force was only the monster. Compared with humans, the life force of monsters is outrageous. But even so, Fang Ping still had some headaches. These big mouths are estimated to have to kill hundreds, or even close to 200 soul-level monsters, to be able to feed them. Outrageous on Nima. He has only seen so many ordinary monsters, where can he find so many more terrifying soul-level monsters for them to eat? This secret method is really simple to improve. But it is extremely difficult to seal the acupoints with vitality. This is also because he is able to use that strange barren white light to devour the vitality of other people and monsters. If you change someone, you will definitely give up this secret method directly. This is simply impossible, but as long as you think about the success, it is like carrying the effect of the resurrection spring with you. Shi Ping is excited again. You are awesome, you have the ability to instantly kill me, otherwise I can be resurrected hundreds of times. Hundreds of times. Grass, what a damn sense of security. Excited just thinking about it. At this moment, Fang Ping's cell phone rang suddenly. This phone is already his third phone. Mobile phones, for others, are daily necessities, for him, they are consumables. When he fights, he doesn't spend anything, just clothes and mobile phones, which are quickly consumed. In a fight, you have to change your clothes and your phone. Seeing that it was Jin Feng's phone number, Fang Ping was a little strange. Hey, Director Jin, what's the matter? Jin Feng in the Special Mediation Unit was on the phone with Fang Ping while watching the video of the Dingyuan City monster incident on the computer. Seeing the familiar pale light, Jin Feng's eyes narrowed slightly, and he already had a basic guess in his heart. In addition to the previous received from the superior, about Fang Ping, this person should generally take the guidance to win. Jin Feng said with a light smile, Mr. Fang, I just want to ask, did you also participate in the incident of the three-headed soul-level monster that appeared in Dingyuan City this time? Fang Ping frowned, what's wrong? It's nothing, the identities of those soul-level monsters have been investigated, and they should be the monsters of Yuan Mozong who have been wanted and hunted down. It's a big credit to eliminate them this time. If you also participate in it, you can also share a part of the credit. Jin Feng explained with a smile. Hearing this, Fang Ping's eyes narrowed slightly. Although the credit is good, safety is the most important. Participation is participation, but I only seriously injured the monster called Spider Girl. After that, because the unknown powerhouse fought with several soul-level monsters, I was not easy to approach, so I stayed nearby. Point 0. Fang Ping said half-truth. His whereabouts are easily traced, so it is impossible for him to deny it completely. Hearing Fang Ping's words, Jin Feng suddenly laughed. That's enough. My previous application for transferring more Fel energy inhibitors has already been reported. Mr. Fang has made a great contribution this time. I believe the application will be approved soon, and a large amount of evil energy inhibitors will be shipped. Fang Ping on the other end of the phone lit up when he heard this. Real. It shouldn't be wrong. In addition, the upper management of the Special Mediation Office is also investigating the information of the strong man, but it is only a good faith investigation. Mr. Fang is the only person who has met the strong man. If you see him again, you can tell him that there is no malicious intent in the special mediation. As soon as these words came out, Fang Ping's pupils shrank instantly. I know, if I meet, I will tell him, he replied in a normal tone and voice. Okay, that's it, don't disturb Mr. Fang's cultivation. Hanging up the phone, Fang Ping walked to the window. Looking at the bustling city scene outside the window, his eyes flickered and his eyes were faint. I still underestimate the Special Mediation Agency and underestimate the country. How could he not understand the meaning of Jin Fang's words inside and out? On the side of the Special Mediation Office, it is estimated that he has been suspected, but it is not completely certain. And thinking of the kindness that Jin Feng had repeatedly mentioned, Fang Ping smiled again as he looked at the distant view of the horizon. Fair enough. The two sides maintain a certain tacit understanding. I don't admit it anyway, you investigate yours, just don't hurt me. Of course, although you don't need to be too nervous for the time being, the special adjustment will be detrimental to yourself. But what he should be guarding against is still guarding. Again, not having a sword in hand and not having a sword are two different things. Chapter 71. Inside the special unit, Jin Feng, who finished the phone call with Fang Ping, sat on the chair very relaxedly and leaned back. In the video sent by the Dingyuan City Special Adjustment Office, although it was blurry, it could only see the scene of Fang Ping and the spider girl fighting outside the building. But looking at the familiar pale white light that was basically the same as the monster that killed the centipede monster, Jin Feng was basically sure that Fang Ping was the unknown powerhouse. Although Fang Ping himself does not admit it. But thinking of Fang Ping that he didn't want others to know his character, he was even more convinced because of this. This kind of powerhouse is not Chinese cabbage. How could two powerhouses appear casually, and they would all emit pale light? There is no such thing in the world. Let me just say, why is it so strange that the existence of the suspected soul-level monster only killed the centipede monster, but didn't do anything to us? It turned out to be 413, because he is not a monster at all. Jin Feng chuckled and said to himself. He had been tracking down the suspected soul-level monster before. After a long time, the two guys who suddenly appeared are the same person. And he was also pulled into the special mediation unit, and he was his own. Then what is he worried about? This is so beautiful and hateful. Of course, although he was basically certain that Fang Ping was the strong man, there was no real evidence. He did not report this speculation. After all, this is just his personal guess. And Fang Ping is not their enemy. Coupled with Fang Ping's character, what if he reported this speculation without authorization and angered Fang Ping? Anyway, the advice given to him above is to try to win Fang Ping. Then why did he provoke Fang Ping for no reason? He's not a fool, he has such a thigh, why don't he hug him tightly and provoke him? Isn't that a pain in the ass, that I hate myself for living too long? However, thinking that Fang Ping needs a lot of fell energy inhibitors, he quickly thought of the hideous figure he saw in Lingsing District. Thinking of this, his body kept sitting up, and his face became more serious. No wonder he needs a lot of fell suppressors. I'm afraid it's because the power of the monster's flesh and blood has been affecting him since he kept breaking through the limit. Jin Feng, who frowned and thought, quickly thought of this. And thinking of this, he immediately wanted to understand another weight. No wonder he doesn't want too many people to know about him. He has been affected by the flesh and blood of monsters, and he may also become very irritable. If too many people know about his existence, the more people and things disturb him, the probability of angering him will increase, will be bigger. So he has been controlling and suppressing his emotions all the time to avoid being provoked and losing his mind and going crazy. It seems that the people of Fang Ping would rather be so aggrieved and think about others. Jin Feng felt that he had seen through Fang Ping's series of behaviors, even his character. After thinking about it all, Li couldn't help feeling that Wanping was really a good person. However, when he was emotional, he was rejoicing in his heart again. Fortunately, Fortunately, when he first approached Fang Ping, he chose to be frank and did not cheat in the slightest. Otherwise, if Fang Ping was angered and made him go mad, I am afraid that he would be directly killed by the irrational Fang Ping. Thinking of this, Jin Feng suddenly patted himself in fear and let out a sigh of relief. Sure enough, it's still a good saying, what kind of cause, what kind of fruit. Because I treated each other with kindness at the beginning, everything now turns out to be good. If I had chosen another approach, it is very likely that the current situation would not be like this at all. Jin Feng sat on the chair and sighed for a while. If Fang Ping knew about Jin Feng's series of thoughts and feelings, he would have been shocked and stunned. Am I so great? And there is reason. Even behavior, personality, and psychological factors have formed a perfect logical closed loop. Just outrageous open the door to outrageous FK, outrageous home. Brainstorm, it's terrifying. Time flowed calmly, and 2 days passed quickly. In the inner room of Tianxin Boxing Gym, Luo Yongye and Old Man Lin are discussing something. Master, are you sure you want to go? Old Man Lin asked. Luo Yongye's expression was a little hesitant. Since my father left Qingshu Mountain to establish Tianxin Boxing Gym, he has not had any connection with Tianxin's lineage for so many years. But in fact, you should also know that my Tianxin Boxing Gym is not strong, but it has been safe and sound for so many years. It is because of the face of Qingshu Mountain. This time, because of the Golden Toad Gate, I recontacted the Tianxin lineage, and they also helped us to warn the Golden Toad Gate. It just coincides with the time when Qingshu Mountain reinforces the magic seal. Can't send anyone to help us. Tianxin Yimai treats us well, and although my father was out of breath, Tianxin Yimai did not remove his father from the name, and when his father was still alive, he never denied his identity as a disciple of Tianxin Yimai. So I think rationally this is feasible. Hearing his words, Old Man Lin thought for a while and said, since Tianxin has invited you, you think it is feasible, then go to participate in this demon sealing ceremony. It's just that after going this time, it will be a foregone conclusion that the boxing gym will return to the Qingshu Mountain Tianxin line. Can you really let go of all this? Luo Yongye sighed slightly. What if I'm not at ease? Qingshu Mountain's Heavenly Heart lineage is the root of my Heavenly Heart lineage after all. What's more, even if I don't think about myself, I have to think about my disciples. Zhou Nan's Heavenly Heart facilitation is approaching the 2nd level, and Graceful will probably break through in a few years. Father was just a disciple back then, and he only had the contents of the first 2 levels of the practice of Tianxin Zhengfa. If Manya and the others want to continue to practice, they need to follow up the practice after all, otherwise it is difficult for them to be like me, and they have been stagnant. They're still so young, Luo Yongye said with emotion. The reason why his strength has been stagnant for many years is because there is no follow-up cultivation method. He didn't want his disciples to be like him. By the way, there is also Fang Ping. Although he has just broken through the limits of the human body, with his understanding, Tianxin Zhengfa's cultivation speed must be faster than Manya and the others. A genius like him can only develop better after returning to the line of Tianxin. After listening to Luo Yongye's words, the Old Man Lin smiled. The owner of the museum has already made a decision in his heart. Now that he has made a decision, let's do it. The old pavilion owner will never blame you in the spirit of heaven. Said so, but Luo Yong's face was still hesitant. The sect has great advantages, but the filth is definitely not less. Otherwise, his father would not have gone down the mountain in anger. Tianxin Boxing Hall is a small family, everyone is happy and united. This is what Luo Yongye likes very much and what he has been pursuing. But after returning to the Heavenly Heart lineage, it is unclear whether the scene after that is good or bad. On the street, Fang Ping quietly walked towards the rental house he rented. In his mind, he was thinking about what Luo Yongye said to them just now. Qingshu Mountain's Tianxin lineage invited Luo Yongye to participate in the demon sealing ceremony 3 days later. Luo Yongye was going to take him, Bai Manya, and Zhou Nan. At the same time, Luo Yongye also told them that after the demon sealing ceremony, Yingxin Fist Gym should return to the line of Tianxin. For this matter, few of them said nothing. Qingshu Mountain is currently one of the top martial artist sects in the Xia Kingdom. It would be too fake to say that they don't want to, but it's not enough to say that they can't wait. None of them are vain people. Therefore, it is said to obey Luo Yongyi's decision. And Fang Ping is now thinking about whether the abnormality in his body will be discovered when he arrives at Qingshu Mountain. As one of the most powerful warrior sects, Qingshu Mountain has many masters. But no matter how much you think about it now, it's all fantasy. You can only act carefully after you reach Qingshu Mountain. Fang Ping rubbed his brows and thought. When he walked near the rental house, Fang Ping saw Jin Li, who had been waiting for a long time. Mr. Fang, this is the evil energy inhibitor this time. Jin Feng respectfully opened the trunk of the car behind him, and saw that there were several specially made large iron boxes inside. Fang Ping gave him a strange look, and he felt that Director Jin's attitude today was extraordinarily dog-legged and flattering. As everyone knows, Jin Feng, who has consciously seen Fang Ping completely, really doesn't dare to make him angry at all at this time. For fear that he would go mad and kill him. Mr. Fang, because you have been successful in dealing with the Yuan Mozong monster incident, the above also gave you a choice. This batch of profound-grade Fel energy suppressors can be given to you for free, so no additional rewards will be given to you. In addition, your monthly salary in the future will also be given to you in the form of Fel energy suppressors. What do you think? Of course, if you don't agree, you can choose other rewards later. Jin Feng looked at Fang Ping and said. And when he heard his words, Fang Ping was stunned. Salary. Seeing Fang Ping's stunned expression, Jin Feng immediately said with some amusing. You joined our special mediation office. You are a state civil servant. You have a formal staff. Of course, you have a salary every month, and it is very generous. You don't think that all the people in our special mediation department are doing white jobs for the country? Fang Ping came back to his senses. Oh, yes. Damn, I almost forgot that I was already a civil servant. But then he raised his brows again, and asked a little strangely, just now you said that Xuanpin's Fel energy inhibitor. What do you mean? It is a higher quality evil energy inhibitor than the previous one. There are 4 varieties of heaven, earth, mysterious, and yellow. Now this batch for you is a mysterious evil energy inhibitor. Hearing this, Jin Feng explained to Fang Ping in detail. It's like when ordinary warriors broke through the limits of the human body for the first time, because they use the flesh and blood of ordinary monsters. Yellow's Fel suppressor also works. But with the follow-up cultivation of warriors, when the second, or even the third time, the limit is broken, they basically use the flesh and blood of powerful monsters such as spirit and soul. It is difficult for low-quality Fel inhibitor to suppress the activity and strength of the monster's flesh. This requires the use of higher quality Fel energy inhibitors to achieve this. This time, Fang Ping was specially adjusted for Xuanpin's Fel energy suppressor. But this will consume Fang Ping's credit in the Yuan Mozong monster incident this time. Because of the special nature of the work of the special mediator, he may die at any time. Therefore, in addition to the high monthly salary, special mediation has always been a reward for meritorious deeds. Fang Ping only admitted that he seriously injured Spider-Woman this time, otherwise his credit would be even greater. But instead of being completely exposed in the sight of others, Fang Ping is now like this. As for whether to choose other rewards, Fang Ping did not consider it at all. For him, energy is the most important thing now. Fel suppressor is energy. No, just follow the current arrangement. In the future, my salary will be replaced by a Fel energy inhibitor. Fang Ping said directly. By the way, let me remind you above, the 10,000 insects among the 3 soul-level monsters in Dingyuan City didn't seem to have really died at that time. Quote. So you have to be careful, he might get revenge on you. After Fang Ping unloaded all the large iron boxes with special characteristics, Jin Feng, who was about to leave, suddenly patted his head and told him. Are the worms dead? Hearing this news, Fang Ping's brows twitched, and then there was a flash of surprise in his eyes. No wonder, when he was about to leave Dingyuan City, why did he feel that he had other toxins appearing elsewhere? It turns out that this worm is not dead yet. Closing his eyes slightly, he quietly sensed the location of his poison. After seeing Fang Ping, who suddenly closed his eyes after hearing the news, Jin Feng didn't dare to make any noise. He remained motionless, for fear of affecting Fang Ping. This news is indeed a bit sudden, he must be controlling his excitement. Jin Fengqiang thought calmly. At this time, Fang Ping also made a discovery. It may be because the distance is too far, he can't perceive the specific location of the 10,000 insects through the toxin, but he can still feel the approximate direction. Knowing this, Fang Ping is no longer worried about Wanzong's revenge. As long as he dares to approach, he will go directly to the door and kill him. His poison, after the sublimation of the source substance, has already become even more bizarre. Before, it was only at the level of qi in the flesh, but now his poison is so strange that it can infect the spirit level. Although I don't know what method Wanzong used to inexplicably resurrect. He had obviously devoured his life force at that time. But it doesn't matter. After the resurrection, the 10,000 insects still did not get rid of the infection of his toxin on the spiritual level. If you want to kill it, you can find him at any time. But at this moment, Fang Ping suddenly raised his brows when he thought of the primordial demon sect to which 10,000 worms belonged, and a thought popped into his heart. A gleam of light flashed in his eyes, and a smile appeared at the corner of Fang Ping's mouth. Not dead, okay. In this way, the food from the hundreds of acupoints and mouths in his body will be available. What are you doing? Fang Ping, who thought about it clearly, looked at Jin Feng, who was motionless next to the car. Oh, it's all right, I'm just standing there, I still have something to deal with, so I'll go first and say goodbye. Looking at Fang Ping's eyes, Li suddenly got into the car and left in a bit embarrassed. Fang Ping, on the other hand, walked into the rental house with a few large iron boxes containing mysterious fell energy inhibitors. The sun is shining brightly. The poisonous sunlight bakes all things in the world. But at this time, it was still cooler on Qingshu Mountain. It may be because behind the Qingshu Mountain is a large dense virgin forest. Fang Ping and the four walked on the secret path on the side of Qingshu Mountain, constantly walking upwards. There are so many tourists in Qingshu Mountain. Fang Ping was speechless when he looked at the real mountaineering road on Qingshu Mountain not far away, which was completely crowded with people. Fang Ping couldn't count how many people there were, but he just looked around. The entire trail was full of heads up and down. Hehe, Qingshu Mountain is not only a Taoist holy place, but also a summer resort. There are countless people who come here for summer vacations every summer. However, this so-called Qingshu Mountain is not a real Qingshu Mountain, and even the gate of Qingshu Mountain is not a real Qingkong Mountain. It's still in the forest behind. Hearing Fang Ping's emotion, Luo Yongye in front said with a smile. So many people, what fun can there be, there are people everywhere. Bai Manya on the side also complained aloud. Okay, let's go quickly. It is estimated that after this mountain is not far, we will reach the gate of Qingshu Mountain. I will tell you about the situation of Qingshu Mountain first. Then Luo Yongye told the three about the situation of Qingshu Mountain. Although Qingshu Mountain is said to be a mountain, it actually refers to a mountain range. Because of what happened decades ago, many Taoist warriors, sects, and organizations all gathered together to form the 5 Tao lineages. The 5 great Tao lineages were gathered in the Holy Land of the 2 major avenues, the north and the south. Qingshu Mountain is one of the southern Taoist holy places, which brings together the 2 Tao traditions that emerged in the south, Zhengyi Tao and Jingming Tao. There are 3 factions under Zhengyi, and the Tianxin one is the branch of the Shengqing faction. This series of nouns made Fang Ping's scalp tingle. A Qingshu Mountain is divided into so many factions. He used to think that Qingshu Mountain was a big sect. No wonder Luo Yongye was worried that after his return, he would encounter some nasty situations. Divided into so many factions, you can get drunk without being dirty. Is Qingshu Mountain so big, and it is a Taoist line, 3 schools, and a branch, degree? Fang Ping asked speechlessly. Ah, I don't know this. I haven't been to the real Qingshu Mountain before. Anyway, my father told me that. Hearing Fang Ping's question, Luo Yongye paused and said embarrassedly. A few people didn't say anything after that. Bai Manya and the others looked at the surrounding scenery curiously. Fang Ping, on the other hand, looked at the evil god modifier in front of him. Host. Fang Ping. Martial arts. Dragon Royale 3 forms. First layer, Dirt Refinement Method. Second layer, Sky Poison Art. First layer, Hunyuan Gangchi. Third layer, Dragon Elephant Immobility. Fourth layer, Burning Lamp Method. Dacheng Tianxin Zhengfa. Second layer, Zhaodian Secret Method. Consummation. Origin. 11. Because of the batch of profound grade fell energy inhibitors that Jin Feng had sent before. In the past 3 days, Fang Ping directly improved all his several exercises to a higher level. After taking the lead in raising the dirt refinement technique to the second level, he immediately raised the primordial astral chi to the third level. Afterwards, using the massively increased astral chi and fell energy inhibitor, the dragon elephant immovable will be raised to the fourth level, which can be completed immediately. After the Arahant purifying chi method was raised to the perfect state, he was merged into the Hunyuan Gang Chi. The Sanyong Righteous Fa, which had already been completed in the first place, was merged into the dragon elephant immovable body after it was elevated to perfection. Sanyong Zhengfa focuses on igniting its own yang fire with chi and blood. Although it involves a part of the will level, it is more related to the physical body. When Fang Ping fought with those 3 soul level monsters before, the cold flames burning all over his body were because of this technique. The burning lamp method has been elevated to the realm of Dacheng. As for the 3 body sealing technique and the 9 figures and 6 sitting statue body techniques, they were integrated into the Dragon Royal 3 forms and the Dragon Elephant immobility respectively after they were upgraded to perfection. And I don't know if it's because the martial arts after the upgrade are too powerful and evil, or because there are too many fusion techniques. Or maybe his strength at this time has reached a limit. Several of his exercises seemed to suddenly come alive. It actually gave him a feeling of wanting to devour other exercises. Among them, the most obvious ones are that the dragon elephant does not move, the primordial chi, and the 3 martial arts of Yulong Sanshi. It happened to be the 3 martial arts that he had integrated the most techniques before. Hunyuan Gangchi is the most domineering, but because Fang Ping's inner Qigong method has basically been integrated with him. Its desire to devour at this time is not strong among these 3 sects. Tianxin Zhengfa, which has not yet reached consummation and has no follow-up exercises, seems to be too small in its eyes. Under the mouth, break the law, get him. Therefore, the Fa rectification of the heavenly heart could only shiver on the side. The situation of Royal Dragon 3 styles and Hunyuan Gangchi is somewhat similar, but because it is an attack method, its offensive desire is stronger than that of Hunyuan Gangchi. The last dragon elephant does not move, the most obvious desire to devour, it is simply drooling watching the dirty method and the secret method of Zhou Tian. Under the feeling of Fang Ping, it seems that he has noticed that the dirty method is related to the primordial Gangchi, so the first target of Long Shangbu's body is the secret method of Zhou Tian. This was the first time Fang Ping had encountered such a situation, and his colleague was also very curious about how Long Shang would devour Zhou Tian's secret art without moving, so he did not interfere. As for the remaining 2 martial arts, the main site is the burning lamp method at the level of spiritual consciousness. Because there is no opponent to compete with it, it is high above, impartial, and sits on the mountain to watch tigers fight. As for the sky poison art, it could have been incorporated into either the Dragon Yu San style or the Dragon Elephant immobility. It seemed to be quite happy with it. Well, because of its special nature, it can only grit its teeth secretly and be beautiful alone. Work hard. Today you are ignoring my love, and the future I will make you unable to climb high. When autumn comes on September 8th, I will kill a hunter. Flowers after the flowers bloom. I'm going to quietly top, and then everyone. 10,000 years from now, you will remember my name. My name is not hello, my name is. Several of them were limit-breaking warriors, and they walked very fast, and it didn't take long for them to cross the Qingshu mountain full of tourists. Came to the dense virgin forest behind. Continuing along the path, Fang Ping raised his brows and looked into the sky ahead. With the flickering firelight in his eyes, Fang Ping directly saw a huge invisible energy film spanning the sky covering all directions. It's a big deal. Seeing this scene, Fang Ping's eyes flashed with surprise. Menuo Jiao. After a while, an ancient-looking stone archway appeared in front. A young Taoist priest is standing on each side of the archway. Fang Ping sensed that the strength of these 2 Taoists was approaching, and they could try to break through the limits of the human body. Disciples of this kind of strength are definitely core disciples in Tianxin Fist Gym. People use it to guard the mountain gate. The visitors stopped. Qingshu Mountain was holding the demon sealing ceremony a few days ago, and the mountain has been closed. I don't know why several people came to Qingshu Mountain. After a few people approached, a Taoist priest stepped forward and asked the guide. Luo Yongye handed over a handbag that Luo Yongye had received before. It turned out to be a Taoist brother from the Tianxin lineage who returned to the door to participate in the demon sealing ceremony. Please come in. After reading the handbag, the Taoist said with a smile. Because of the demon sealing ceremony, all the veins are gathered on the main peak. Let me take a few to the residence of Tianxin Yimai. The Taoist priest on the left then led a few people to the residence of Tianxin Yimai. When following the Taoist priest through the archway, Fang Ping had a feeling of passing through a layer of water. He could feel a special energy sweep across him instantly. And it's not just him who feels that way. Luo Yongye and several people next to him also had strange expressions on their faces. Apparently felt the same way. This is a test of the mountain protection formation to prevent monsters from sneaking into Qingshu Mountain. Seeing the different colors on the faces of several people, the Taoist priest who led the way said with a smile. Several people nodded in understanding. At this time, Fang Ping looked at the scene in front of him in shock. Obviously when you look here from the archway, it is just a lush virgin forest. But after entering the archway at this time, Fang Ping saw many shocking sights. A towering mountain peak, rolling mountains. Clouds and mists are shrouded in mist, and after the layers of clouds and mists are revealed from time to time, the large buildings are located on various mountain peaks. It looked like it was really in a fairyland. No wonder it has become one of the two holy places of Taoism. While Fang Ping followed the Taoist priest, he looked at the sights around him that he couldn't usually see in amazement. As you get closer and deeper, you can meet more and more people. They were all Taoist priests dressed in various Taoist robes, and they all rushed in the same direction as them. Soon, the group walked up to the peak of a tall mountain. Then the Taoist priest brought a few people to a certain house in a complex of buildings. Brother Tao, this is the residence of your heavenly heart lineage. The Taoist priest took a few people to the place and then left. Luo Yongye was about to knock on the door when a young Taoist priest opened the door from inside. You are senior brother Luo, Master Tai is already waiting for you inside. The priest warmly welcomed several people. But after Fang Ping and Bai Manya looked at each other, they both frowned slightly. Because this Taoist priest looks very enthusiastic, but in fact, his eyes are full of contempt and disgust. It's like a host family is watching a few poor relatives from the country. That kind of disgust, contempt, but pretending to be very enthusiastic on the surface, made Fang Ping very uncomfortable. Luo Yongye glanced at a few people, then looked at the Taoist priest with a smile. I don't know what to call this junior brother. Senior brother, just call me Yongping. Let's go, come in with me and see Grand Master. Wu Yongping replied with a smirk, with a hint of urging in his tone. It's like he's saying, stop talking nonsense, I really don't want to talk to you, come in quickly. Ajak Fang Ping froze when he could see Luo Yongye's expression. But in the end, Luo Yongye endured it. After Wu Yongping finished talking to them, he turned around and walked inside. Master, let's go back, people don't look down on us at all, why should we rush to stick to their cold ass? Seeing that the Taoist priest walked a little further, Bai Manya said in a low voice with direct dissatisfaction. I agree. Fang Ping smiled and voted in favor. There are many ways for him to become stronger, there is no need to wrong himself. Zhou Nan next to him didn't speak, just looked at Luo Yongye. Luo Yongye sighed, anyway, let's go and see the great master first, he is my father's master, and your master, he has come here, so he has to meet him no matter what. What other people do is his, we still have to have etiquette. As for whether to go or stay, let's talk about it after seeing your master. Let's go and follow. Hearing Luo Yongye's words, Fang Ping and the others didn't say anything. Walking into the house, following the Taoist priest, several people quickly came to a hall. In front of the hall is enshrined a Taoist deity, an old Taoist priest with white hair and beard, standing in front of the deity, looking at the few people who walked in. Master, Master. Wu Yongping turned towards the old Taoist priest, and a horse-faced Taoist priest who looked 50 or 60 years old stood on the side. Behind this horse-faced Taoist priest, there were still several young Taoist priests, and the eyes they looked at them were not good. You are Yongye. The moment the old Taoist priest with Hefa and Tong Yan saw Luo Yongye, his eyes were a little dazed, and then he walked over and grabbed his hand. Like, you and your father are so similar. The old Taoist pulled Luo Yongye and sighed with emotion. Are you the Grand Master? Luo Yongye asked uncertainly, seeing the old Taoist being so kind to him. Hey, you have worked hard outside for so many years. The old Taoist replied with some pity. It can be seen from his attitude towards Luo Yongye that the old Taoist seems to really like him. The old Taoist looked at Fang Ping and the others. Oh, Master Tai, these three are my disciples, Zhou Nan, Manya, and Zhang Ping. Hurry up to visit your master. Luo Yongye first introduced the old Taoist priest, and then shouted to Fang Ping and the others. Hi master. Hey, they're all good kids. Hearing several people calling him Shizu, the old Taoist immediately responded with joy. Master, this time I wanted to let them see the world, so I brought them here. I won't take the liberty. Luo Yongye asked. Of course not, come here, just to tell you about the situation of this demon sealing ceremony. The old Taoist waved to Fang Ping and the others. Afterwards, Luo Yongye sat on the chair on the other side. Fang Ping and several others stood behind Luo Yongye, and the old Taoist began to talk about the related matters of this demon sealing ceremony. After a long time, after the related matters of the confinement ceremony were finished, the old Taoist asked Luo Yongye to bring a few people to their room. The horse-faced Taoist priest at the back walked out of the hall with several disciples. Master, after this demon sealing ceremony, will these people really return to heaven's heart? Wu Yongping asked the horse-faced Taoist priest. Looking at the appearance of your great master, what do you think? The Ma Mian Taoist priest's eyes were a little gloomy. But the resources of our Tianxin lineage are not enough. If there are so many of them, wouldn't it be even more insufficient for the juniors to cultivate? Wu Yongping said with a frown. That's right, master, we usually don't use enough for our cultivation. If we add them, wouldn't we not have to cultivate at all? That's right, master, or else you should persuade the Grand Master. These people have been staying outside anyway, so why should they return? Yes, look at all of them with stern faces, how can they look like cultivators? Hearing Wu Yongping's words, which involved their own interests, the rest of the disciples also spoke out. All of them regarded Fang Ping and the others as thieves who robbed them of their belongings. Okay, let's go back and talk about this matter. Hearing the mixed voices of the disciples, the Taoist Ma Mian snorted coldly. After turning the corner of the side aisle, Fang Ping sighed slightly while resting his forehead. It seems that this return will not be peaceful. After finding their respective rooms, several people discussed for a while. I learned some information about the old Taoist priest from Luo Yongye's mouth. The old Taoist priest, named Tian Xuanzi, was Luo Yongye's father's master and the current leader of the Tianxin lineage. The previous horse-faced Taoist priest was named An Xinghua, the second disciple of Tianshuanzi. And Luo Yongye's father was the third disciple of Tianshuanzi. Back then, he had a dispute with this An Xinghua, so he left in anger. As for Tian Xuanzi's eldest disciple, he didn't see it this time, and it seemed that he was already dead. There are many factions in Qingshu Mountain, and Zhengyi alone is divided into 3 factions, and the Tianxin faction is only one of the branches of the Shangqing faction in the 3 factions. The status in Qingshu Mountain is not high, and the life is not as good as expected. After all, the total cultivation resources are limited, and the priority is different, not to mention that the Tianxin Yimai is only one of the branches. This is why An Xinghua and those disciples do not want them to return so much. Because there are too many people, it will inevitably squeeze and reduce their interests. Although Fang Ping and the others didn't mean to fight. But sometimes, for many things, even if you don't fight, your existence is already a hindrance to others. After putting things down, Fang Ping was walking in the house. The area of Qingshu Mountain exceeded his previous imagination. Even if the Tianxin Yimai is only one of the branches of the Zhengdao Shangqing school, when participating in the demon sealing ceremony held on the main peak of Zhengdao, they can still have a house as their residence. There are 3 courtyards in this house. When he was about to reach the backyard, Fang Ping suddenly raised his brows. He slightly dodged, and hid behind the rockery beside him. Then I saw An Xinghua's group of disciples walking out of the backyard, and the leader was naturally Wu Yongping, who had a bad attitude towards them before. He is An Xinghua's eldest disciple. Senior brother, go and persuade the master again, but you can't let those barbarians return. That is, if they come, then our cultivation share will all be reduced, or even none, and we can only rely on our own hard work. That's right, the master is not there, and there are only a few of his disciples, but there seem to be a lot of Luo Yongyi's disciples. If they all come, how can we use the monthly cultivation share of the Tianxin lineage? That's right, I've heard for a long time that at the beginning, Master Luo's favorite was Uncle Luo, and now that his son Luo Yongye is back, with the attitude of Master Tai today, he will definitely be more partial to him in the future, and your position will definitely be affected, senior brother. You can't ignore this. A group of disciples were chattering towards Wu Yongping, complaining constantly and fighting over the fire. Fang Ping behind the rockery heard a wonderful look in his eyes. Good guy, it's really a small temple and a big demon, and there are more than 8 kings in Qijian. In the end, it was Xinghua who was not upright and crooked, or was he too discerning in picking disciples, and he only picked those smart people as disciples. All of his disciples are too smart. Infighting skills are probably full. It was Wu Yongping, who set the pace in front of Xinghua, constantly explained the seriousness of the matter, pointed out that the interests of everyone, especially this group of disciples, would be seriously violated, so that they would also resist the return of Luo Yongye and others. Then, these disciples followed suit. All of them were very smart, and they didn't want to really be a standout. They kept supporting Wu Yongping and pointed out that after Luo Yongye came back, his status would also be severely impacted. The meaning inside and outside the words is not to want Hao Yongping to throw them out. Just Nima is wonderful, just like filming a TV series. At this time, Wu Yongping was also very upset. Today, Tian Xuanzi's attitude towards Luo Yongye, as well as his eyes, made it clear who he would be more partial to. And his master did not make it clear whether he could refuse Luo Yongye and others to return. These are enough to make him upset, and now he is more annoyed by these people. The little thought of these people, he naturally knew clearly in his heart. But what they said was true. Over the years, the great master Tian Xuanzi has been obsessed with cultivation, and no matter what, after the death of the master, there are only 3 or 2 apprentices left, which are not worth mentioning. Therefore, Tianxin Yimai has been in charge of his master and Xinghua all these years. His status is naturally very high, and he naturally enjoys the most cultivation resources among the disciples. If Luo Yongye came back, just because of Tian Xuanzi's favorable attitude, his status would definitely be seriously affected. A part of his cultivation resources will definitely be given to Luo Yongye. How can he bear this? Okay, don't talk about it, I have my own plans for this matter, and the master will not let them return so easily. Wu Yongping said a little irritably, and then his eyes became cold. HMPH, it was that Uncle Luo who left Qingshu Mountain by himself, and now I want to come back when I say it, it's such a cheap thing in the world. It's fine if they don't come back. If they come back, when the master was able to force Shishu Luo away, I can also make them get out of the way. After speaking, Wu Yongping flicked his long sleeves and left. The remaining disciples, looking at Wu Yongping who left in anger, looked at each other with self-evident smiles. Senior brother's words just now are really brilliant. What the younger brother said just now is good. For the sake of the elder brother, we have to learn from the younger brother. 0. Ha ha ha, senior brother is joking. I went out some time ago and found a book called Hu He Shui, and I have a deep understanding after studying it. A group of disciples walked away talking and laughing. When the sky fell, there were tall people standing on it, and these people were not as bitter and angry as they had shown before. The return of Luo Yongye and the others will have the greatest impact on their masters and senior brothers. They are not panic at all. After these people left, Fang Ping came out of the rockery. The corners of his mouth twitched when he saw the direction in which these people were leaving. This day, the people who were in the same line of heart were really awesome, it just opened his eyes. The cook did not read the recipe and fell in love with the art of war. My good fellow, these people did not look at the cultivation method, but delved into the black science. God TM deep experience. Just now behind the rockery, Fang Ping almost couldn't help laughing out loud. A small branch is so dirty, Fang Ping can't imagine how dark and smoky the whole Zhengyi, the entire Qingshu mountain will be. Touching his chin, Fang Ping pondered, sensing the toxin that was getting closer and closer. I originally planned to find a chance to remind me, but now it seems. This Qingshu mountain is in great need of a baptism of blood. At least a part of the filth must be washed away, which will be beneficial to our development after our return. Human, once you're stable for a long time, it's easy to have these thoughts that some things don't exist. That night, the stars are shining. The night sky in Qingshu Mountain is brighter and more gorgeous than the outside world. It is like a starry night view that can only be seen on the plateau. Especially under that special viewing angle, Fang Ping could see wisps of starlight descending vertically from above the night sky, being sucked into all parts of Qingshu Mountain, even living in those wing rooms across from them. This day's Shinimai's practice seems to be able to draw starlight, Fang Ping thought to himself. Suddenly, his eyes moved, his mind moved, and he instantly looked inside his body. Then, an incomparably illusory vision appeared in front of his eyes. A violent figure like a dragon and an elephant, with fangs reaching into the sky, stands between a dark world. Then the incomparably huge arms of the figure raised, and a tyrannical sound resounded throughout the world, shaking the world. Reach out for the moon. He dragged 870 down to the extremely dim stars in the sky, shoved them into his mouth rudely, and swallowed them. The surface of the stars is rough, with no eyes, no nose, and no ears, with only a ferocious mouth full of fangs and serrated teeth. With a big mouth, the entire star seemed to be completely split with a huge crack in the middle. Countless stars madly bit the giant arm of the violent figure. But they are extremely dim, and their strength is too weak to cause any harm to the figure at all. The stars were swallowed up. The body of the violent figure began to light up with dots of light, as if the swallowed stars lit up something in the figure. At this time, the dark sky distorted wildly. 7 bright stars like the bright moon are hooked up with each other, and when they are first formed, they are hook-shaped, like a spoon. But in the next moment, these 7 stars formed a line, like a giant dragon turning over and stretching out suddenly, like a giant python rushing down. 7 stars in a row, meteorites are falling. There was a loud bang, and the violent figure bent his legs and punched him. It was extremely sturdy, like a giant arm formed by entangled dragons and snakes, and instantly turned into powder. But the fallen Lianju Kixing also exploded in an instant. Roar! At the dissipated arm, flesh and blood grew rapidly, and the violent figure roared wildly in the sky. The vision in front of him disappeared. Fang Ping's perspective returned to his body. I saw that the ferocious acupoints and big mouths were completely connected to the flesh at this time. Even began to make some strange changes in the flesh. Thinking of the illusion he saw just now, Fang Ping raised his eyebrows, and there was a flash of enlightenment in his eyes. The 7 bright stars should be the acupuncture points that were filled with vitality before. Then look at the evil god modifier. Host: Fang Ping. Martial arts. Dragon Royale 3 forms. First layer, Dirt Refinement Method. Second layer, Sky Poison Art. First layer, Hunyuan Gangchi. Third layer, Dragon Elephant Immobility. Fourth layer, Burning Lamp Method. Dacheng Tianxin Dharma. Second layer. Origin. 11. Sure enough, the name of Zhou Tian's secret method has disappeared. Is that how devouring between exercises is like this? Thinking of the illusion just now, Fang Ping narrowed his eyes slightly and began to sense. After a while, Fang Ping opened his eyes, and a gleam of light flashed in them. After the dragon elephant did not move to devour the Zhou Tian secret method, it seems that some changes have begun. This kind of change is an effect that I can't achieve by actively integrating the exercises. The devouring of the exercises can make the different exercises more closely integrated, and even have strange changes. Fang Ping sensed that the dragon elephant did not move after swallowing Zhou Tian's secret method. The effect of devouring the practice is better than the effect of his active fusion of the practice. Now he can faintly feel the flesh and blood beside those acupoints and big mouths in his body, and some strange changes have gradually taken place. It's just that this kind of change is still too weak, and now I can't see anything special. Sure enough, he is already outside Qingshu Mountain. At this time, Fang Ping suddenly glanced at the distant horizon in surprise, and a faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. And at this time in that dense forest, outside the invisible energy membrane of the mountain protecting formation in Qingshu Mountain, Wan Zong wearing a black robe and 2 other figures also wearing black robes appeared here. Wan Zong, can your insects work? Can't you afford the attention of those from Zhengyi and Jingmingdao? A black-robed man next to him said softly. Following his gaze, he saw that in front of several people, there was a group of black worms with distorted shapes, like worms, eating the invisible energy film. Hearing his words, Wanzong suddenly became angry. You can question my strength, but you can't doubt my skills. My bugs can definitely bite through the mountain protection formation of Qingshu Mountain without attracting any attention. Hearing this, the other man in black robe sneered. Anyway, if something goes wrong because of you, you know the consequences. This time, the sect master and the others have been planning for a long time. Even if they can't release all the monsters suppressed by the seal of Qingshu Mountain, they must rescue the elder of the Yuan demon sect. You better worry about yourself, don't wait to be beaten to death. Wanzong shouted angrily. The black-robed man sneered, hey, kill. You and the spider girl dealt with that Zhang Boyuan's matter, not only failed, but also let the spider girl and Zhang Boyuan both die in Sejong, but escaped by yourself. You won't forget about it, will you? If it weren't for the importance of the Qingshu Mountain incident this time, you would have been imprisoned in the Devil's Cave by now. When I mentioned this, Wanzong immediately thought of that terrifying figure, and shivered in an instant. Is it because I didn't save them? That guy has definitely broken through the limit 3 times, and is not weaker than the virtual realm. I survived by accident. How can I save it? Wanzong said with some grievances. He fled away weekly before, and it took a lot of effort to barely recover to what it is now, and the injury has not fully recovered. As a result, Yuan Mozong not only didn't care about him, but even blamed him. So pissed. Enough, stop talking, the formation is about to break. Seeing that the two were still bickering, the man in black next to him said coldly. As soon as the voice fell, I saw the place where the group of black worms gathered to bite, and a hole was suddenly bitten by that layer of Wowong. Then the black worms exploded directly, turning into a strange force attached to the energy gap. The gap quickly widened and soon became able to accommodate several people through. Go, the man in black robe ordered. With the spread of a strange wave, several people rushed directly into Qingshu Mountain. Boom boom boom. At the moment when the strange wave spread, the other side of Qingshu Mountain suddenly remembered a huge roar. The entire huge invisible energy membrane began to tremble wildly. Within the several highest peaks of the mountain range of Qingshu Mountain, silhouettes flew out in an instant, rushing directly to the direction of the roar. And the 3 million insects who have already sneaked into the Qingshu Mountain are directly separated. The 2 men in black robes went straight to somewhere, while Fang rushed towards the main peak of Zhengyi Road. One by one, countless black bugs crawled out from under his black robe, spreading wildly around along the way. Boom boom boom. On the other side of Qingshu Mountain, outside the mountain protection formation. In the pitch-black night sky, a huge scarlet light group was colliding wildly with several rays of light. There was a terrifying collision, setting off a terrifying wave that spread around. In the countless dense forests below, countless towering ancient trees were instantly destroyed and uprooted. That layer of invisible energy film is even more turbulent. Ha ha ha, you old people are really getting worse and worse. You could stop me 60 years ago. Now, how long can you last? In the Scarlet Evil Light group, a crazy laughter sounded. Boom. With a loud bang, the terrifying power erupted, instantly dispelling all the air in that area, forming a vacuum. In the vacuum, space is constantly distorting and fluctuating. And under this collision, the rays of light were instantly forced back, showing the figures of several Taoist priests. One of the white-bearded Taoist priests holding a cyan sword looked at the bloody light in the distance and said angrily. Moruo, we didn't go looking for you, but you dared to invade Qingshu Mountain. I think you want to be with the old demon of your Yuan demon sect, right? Jia, I want to come to this Qingshu Mountain, can you stop me? Countless skulls danced in the blood-colored light group, and Sun Sound Room laughed from it. And knowing that it's me, you dare to come out with only so many people, do you think your life is too long? Brush. As soon as his voice fell, a huge tentacle that was condensed with blood-colored light instantly slapped. The huge blood-colored tentacles slammed into the sky, and rumbled and crushed. Seeing this scene, the faces of several people changed instantly, and the old Taoist clapped his hand with a sword. Double spirits, destroying evils. In the cyan long sword, a dull-headed baby with a strange cyan color emerged, and at the baby's navel, there was another head hanging down. What? The 2 little heads lifted up together, the dark blue skin, and the black eye sockets flowed out a mucus like pus and blood, and let out a scream. A powerful and terrifying sword energy filled with strange power instantly shot out from the cyan long sword. Puff! The strange sword energy broke apart some of the blood-colored tentacles, but the old Taoist still vomited blood and flew out. Jia, old guy, you actually made another ghost boy into the sword. Our Yuan demon sect studies monsters, it is evil. You Qingshu Mountain uses monsters to practice methods, it is justice, you are always so disgusting. Quote. Looking at the two cyan babies in the cyan long sword, the blood-colored light group laughed mockingly. HMPH, how can you, such a self-deprecating thing, understand our justice? The old Taoist wiped the blood on the corner of his mouth and said with a cold expression. At this time, several rays of light flew from the distance of Qingshu Mountain. A line of 8 Taoist priests danced in the air, their Taoist robes fluttered, surrounding the blood-colored light group in the middle. This time, you should stay here. The old Taoist's inverted triangle eyes looked at the blood-colored light group coldly. The sword finger swiped on the long sword, and the vaguely emerging baby in the sword body instantly left countless scars, and flowed out mucus. The shrill screams turned into a humming sound of sword energy. Jia, go eat them all. Wanzong laughed in a low voice with a hideous expression. Under the black robe, countless black worms crawled out, turning into an endless sea of worms, and quickly crawling towards the surrounding buildings and houses. Then I saw him take off his black robe, revealing his belly with a screaming face. Hiss! Violently tore open his belly, and a group of more evil, more sinister-looking bugs poured out. Like a flood that has been opened to release the flood, it is surging down. It looks spectacular, but it's all silver like sharp spearheads, and it's still so weak and pitiful. In the shadows not far away, Fang Ping pouted as he watched the magnificent scene on Wanzong's side. Seeing that some of those black bugs also rushed towards the house where Tianxin Yimai was located. Fang Ping glanced at the constant roaring sound in the distant sky, and the corner of his mouth twitched. This time, the plan is quite thorough, and I know that the sound of the east and the west will attract people who are strong. However, in this way, it is not only convenient for you. With a chuckle, Fang Ping ignored Wanzong's actions and turned to leave. He chased after the other 2 men in black robes. And Wanzong never felt the slightest sense of Fang Ping's presence or departure. Qingshu Mountain is a little better than the outside. That is, there is no surveillance at all here. Fang Ping basically does not have to worry about being photographed by surveillance. So he almost turned into an afterimage, and with the precise positioning of the poison, he flew towards the position of the 2 black robes. Well, the 2 men in black robes were also poisoned by him. Because Wanzong's spirit was infected with Fang Ping's poison. Therefore, during the day, he felt that Wanzong was approaching in the direction of Weishu Mountain. When he and the 2 black-robed men sneaked into Qingshu Mountain, Fang Ping was already behind them. Because he was curious about their purpose, and at the same time used their hands to clean the filth of Qingshu Mountain, he did not directly kill them. It's just that the gods have poisoned them unwittingly. Under the starlight, Fang Ping chased the 2 black-robed men to a position behind Qingshu Mountain. On a flat ground, the sun seat is similar to the entire square stone platform standing quietly. 2 limit-breaking warriors who broke through the secondary limit fell to the ground. They are the watchmen here. But he was instantly attacked and killed by the 2 black-robed men who didn't know what method they used. The 10 dragon-locking pillars around it derived a thick black iron chain engraved with runes to seal the square stone platform tightly. Straws of light continued to circulate in the rune pattern of the black iron chain. Countless strange black threads spread out from under a black-robed man and climbed towards the area where the stone platform was located. Pippipyridine. The next moment, those black wires were just approaching, and countless electric lights burst out from the black iron chains in an instant. With a crackle, countless black threads were scattered. Qingshu Mountain really strengthened the seal of the seal again. Fortunately, the sect master had expected it. I saw that the 2 men in black robes directly inserted their hands into their hearts, and a few drops of blood that were extremely dark, like black crystals, were taken out by them. A powerful, terrifying magic energy emanated from these drops of black blood in an instant. The demonic energy diffused, and the electric light on the black iron chain became more agitated. A roar of monsters seemed to sound all around. Laugh. A few drops of black blood on the surrounding dragon pillars. In an instant, the dragon lock pillar was gradually blackened and corroded. An extremely evil force rushed towards the stone platform in the middle along the black iron chains. Those electric lights on the chain, after encountering this power, continued to dim, and finally dissipated directly. It is also at the moment when these electric lights dissipate. Boom! The stone platform collapsed in an instant. Roar! A tyrannical, extremely ferocious roar accompanied by a twisted and terrifying demonic energy instantly shot straight into the sky from the collapsed corner. On a big tree not far behind, Fang Ping stood quietly on the top of the tree. The flames in his eyes were dancing, and he looked at the movement here with a pale light. Unblocking the monster. Boom! In the corner of the collapsed stone platform, a black gap was exposed. Accompanied by a tyrannical roar, a terrifying demonic energy instantly rose into the sky from under the gap. The eerie magic energy instantly covered most of the sky. The gloomy demonic cloud completely blocked the starlight in the night sky, and shrouded the large area of Qingshu Mountains below in complete shadow. In the sky far away, I felt the shock here. The expressions of the 8 Taoist priests who besieged the blood-colored light group changed instantly. No, there is something wrong with the Zunli seal, they have other people. Go back quickly, don't let that old monster come out. I stand here. The old Taoist priest holding the cyan long sword shouted loudly. Ha ha ha, top, what's your top? Can you stand it? Crazy laughter in the blood-colored light group. Then I saw an extremely evil, ominous and strange skull slowly emerging from the blood-colored light group. The mouth of the strange skull slowly opened. In an instant, an invisible wave spread. What? The 8 Taoist priests froze instantly, covering their heads frantically and screaming. Each face was distorted by pain, and the divine light in his eyes was sinking into endless chaos and tyranny. Obviously, not just the old Taoist priest, even the 8 of them together. Can't stand it either. Bang bang bang. In a series of screams, the bodies of the 8 Taoists began to mutate. The characteristics of all kinds of monsters began to emerge on them. Only at this time, a muffled hum suddenly came from the blood-colored light group. The mouth of the weird skull closed instantly, and the surrounding fluctuations dissipated. It was also at this moment that a clear light appeared in the eyes of several Taoist priests. The real capital is Yuanyang, and the Tai cave is empty. A layer of spiritual light bloomed instantly, and the 8 people hooked up with each other, and soon the monster characteristics on several people were gradually suppressed back. Jia Jia, I see who of you dares to volunteer. Seeing the coherent aura on the 8 people, the blood-colored light group laughed. The faces of several Taoist priests became extremely ugly. Free air, Jia Jia. A sound that seemed to be mentally distorted, the holy laughter of the chaotic madman of Inbi sounded from the gap. Peng Hao of Yuan Mozong pays respect to the old master. Puff. The 2 men in black robes shouted respectfully, but their words were not finished. 2 white and slender palms suddenly came out from his chest. A faint pale light appeared on the white palm. The bodies of the 2 men in black robes were dissolving at an unimaginable speed. Yes, ablation. They withered and withered so fast that they looked like ice cubes that had been placed under the scorching sun. Melting fast. Do not, old sect master, save. The black-robed man on the left, whose body had completely melted away, raised his hand unwillingly, and countless thick black threads like wet hair rushed towards the stone platform in front of him. Black silk stretched into that gap. Boom. The next moment, those black silk threads were instantly tightened, and a terrifying giant force emerged. The corpse in Fang Ping's hands was instantly pulled towards the stone platform by this terrifying force. The sudden force also caused Fang Ping to be pulled over suddenly. Stepping on the stone platform, Fang Ping stopped. The 2 corpses in his hands completely melted away, leaving only 2 black robes hanging on Fang Ping's arms. Clack clack. At this moment, the stone platform that Fang Ping was following suddenly opened with fine cracks. Fang Ping frowned, accidentally stepping too hard. The cracks keep growing. Boom. An even more terrifying magical energy instantly broke through the cracked stone platform. A huge shadow slowly rose up in the extremely eerie demonic energy. The sharp airflow made Fang Ping's hair and clothes sway wildly. After a while, the momentum gradually subsided. Only then did Fang Ping clearly see the huge figure in the demonic energy in front of him. I saw that it was a monster that matched a human and a snake. Huge body several meters wide. The Lord descended the snake, and the lower half of the snake's body and tail were still in the huge cave under the stone platform. On top of this huge snake body, there is a human upper body, green patterns spread all over the body, and under the green eyebrows, there is a face that looks strangely beautiful. Incomparably messy long green hair, where the vertical waist connects to the snake's body. And behind this person, there are 9 huge snake heads that are constantly swinging. It was as if a huge palm had grown behind him, and the 9 fingers of the palm had turned into 9 flying snake heads. On the bewitching and handsome face, eyes full of madness and tyranny glanced at the 2 black robes hanging on Fang Ping's arms, and then looked down at Fang Ping below. Those who dare to kill my Yuan demon sect. Fang Ping looked up at him. Can you lower your head a bit? I'm not used to looking up and talking to people. He could feel that the monster in front of him was very weak, as if it had been sealed for too long. The strength seems to be only the level of a soul-level monster. Although the imposing manner on his body is extremely terrifying, he is strong on the outside and working on the inside. However, from his special perspective, he could see that a heart-like thing in the monster's body was constantly beating. Its strength is rapidly recovering. Lower down. Ha, ha 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 ha. How dare you let me down? Ha ha ha. And when he heard Fang Ping's words, the monster suddenly laughed out of madness. Little bug, for the sake of you breaking the seal, I allow you to commit suicide in front of me. After laughing, the monster looked at Fang Ping and said, self-discipline. Fang Ping was stunned for a moment, then narrowed his eyes and laughed. The corners of the grinned mouth outlined a hideous look, and looked up at it. Li Ma Jiao, you are the first person who dares to say such a thing to me. Hearing this, the handsome face of the monster turned cold. If that's the case, then you're going to die. Swish. 2 of the 9 snake heads flew out of the 9 snake heads behind him in an instant, and they swallowed Fang Ping with their hideous mouths. Why, you can cut yourself off with less pain. The monster shook his head, then ignored Fang Ping and looked directly at the surrounding Qingshu Mountain. Qingshu Mountain, Qingshu Mountain. Looking at the familiar and unfamiliar environment of Qingshu Mountain around it, the tyranny in its eyes instantly skyrocketed, and it roared like crying and laughing. I'm going to slaughter all the greens. The monster roared wildly. But next second, boom, the words it hadn't roared out completely swallowed it. I saw that its huge body was pulled out of the secluded cave under the stone platform in an instant. Fang Ping directly wrapped his arms around the giant snake head that was biting towards him, and pulled it straight back. The huge body of the monster was pulled out of the cave under the stone platform by him in an instant, and slammed into the mountain wall next to it. Boom. Dusty. Counting the snake tail, a huge body of dozens of meters long was smashed on the mountain wall, making a huge noise. Raise your foot and fall. The slightly deformed snake head that had just been held by his arms was stepped on instantly. I've said it all, I don't like to look up and talk to people, why don't you just listen? Fang Ping watched the giant behemoth gradually rise up from the dust and smoke, the muscles on his face twitched, and he looked very ferocious. Dare to hurt me, I'm going to kill you. Looking at the Dao who was trampled under his feet by Fang Ping, he was completely trampled. The anger in the monster's eyes instantly turned into endless ferocity and tyranny, completely drowning the remaining sanity in an instant. Roaring and roaring, 8 snake heads danced madly. That bewitching and handsome face became distorted in an instant, and the corners of his mouth cracked directly to the roots of his ears. PFF'd. Incomparably evil, the pale light full of desolation flashed like a shooting star in the blink of an eye. Then a shadow covered the twisted and crazy face. Fang Ping's right hand was deeply inserted into his heart, and countless primordial gangqi bursting into its body frantically like a river bursting with a barren and pale light. Who do you want to kill? Who else can you kill? Fang Ping stared at those green eyes who were gradually awakening from madness with a grin. This kind of power, how is it possible? Watching Fang Ping's arrogance pouring into his body completely destroys all flesh and blood. Feel the frantic flow of your life force. Its face is full of wonder. You may have been strong once, but now, the new poor. PFF'd. The right arm, which was deeply inserted into the opponent's heart, was directly pulled out. At the same time, the source of the beating power in the opponent's body was directly pulled out. Thump thump. I saw Fang Ping's right hand holding a beating, but extremely strange heart. The heart was all gray, exuding a hint of ominous aura. There are tentacles around it, like an octopus, and between the tentacles dancing, there is a mouthful of sharp teeth in the middle of the heart. Guang Guang is just this heart, and it looks like a monster. And when the heart was held in Fang Ping's hand, it was still beating continuously, and a trace of ominous aura kept pouring into Fang Ping's hand. Numerous tentacles tightly wrapped around Fang Ping's palm, as if they wanted to completely tie themselves to Fang Ping's body. The moment that trace of ominous breath touched Fang Ping's palm, his flesh and blood began to grow small bumps like hives. A little foul-smelling pus can gradually flow out of the small pimple. But just for a moment, the flame of the burning lamp method appeared in Fang Ping's eyes. The ominous aura emanating from the heart was instantly swallowed up by the firelight. At the same time, a long tongue protruded from his chest in an instant, and it rolled back the heart in Fang Ping's hand. A strangely smiling evil-eyed King Kong image appeared in Fang Ping's chest, chewing the heart with a big mouth. The endless despair and pain in his eyes surged even more. The evil-eyed Vajra statue that first appeared on Fang Ping became more and more bizarre. Especially after devouring the flesh and blood of those strange invisible monsters, its smile looks incomparably infiltrating. As if the next moment, it would jump out of Fang Ping's body. Looking at the scene in front of him, the green pupils of the snake monster shrank instantly. His eyes were full of shock and wonder. How is this possible? That's a phantom. He was actually eaten by his tattoo like this. It looked at the evil-eyed Vajra statue on Fang Ping's chest. Go out. The next moment, it seemed to hear countless evil and strange laughter in its ears. It's like the monster is whispering, it's like the god is weeping, it's more like the devil is grinning. The evil-eyed Vajra statue with a grin and a sharp tooth, with a long sharp tongue, seemed to be in front of his eyes. Getting bigger and closer, his heart seemed to be drawn into those evil eyes full of despair and pain. Just when he was about to sink in completely, boom! The human snake monster directly blew up its entire body with its last reason. Countless flesh and blood swirled, and many splashes of flesh and blood turned into demonic energy and madly overflowed. Fang Ping was also stunned by the scene in front of him. Why did it suddenly explode? The next moment, his eyes turned fierce, AJCF wanted to run. The ground beneath his feet exploded, and Fang Ping instantly appeared in front of a snake-shaped shadow that flew away from the side. A big hand shining with pale light grabbed the snake-shaped shadow. Hiss! The snake-shaped shadow instantly turned back and bit. A strange green light flew out. With a bang, Fang Ping flew upside down in an instant. Just after turning back and spewing out this strange green light, the snake-shaped shadow also fell to the ground weakly. Countless magic energy gathered in the air. Soon, a half-human, half-snake body was recondensed with the snake-shaped shadow. It's just that this body is no longer as huge as before, and the straight body is only about 2 meters high. The several snake heads that were flying behind him no longer appeared at this time. Cough cough. Are you dead? With an extremely weak cough, the monster looked towards the direction Fang Ping flew out from. A figure stood up, and the monster's eyes gradually became desperate. It's not dead. In a mass of chi that was blooming with white light in his hand, a strange green light kept colliding with the chi, trying to escape from Fang Ping's hands. You can use the residual power of the soul level to launch such an attack that almost hurt me, you are enough to be proud of yourself. Fang Ping walked slowly with a sneer. 5 fingers pinched, and with a bang, the strange green light in the palm of the hand was instantly pinched. PFF'd, the instant the green light burst, the monster spat out a mouthful of green blood again. Don't kill me, I'm Anya, the ancestor of Yuan Mozong, as long as you let me go, I can give you anything you want. That monster, like a human-snake combination, finally said its name at this time. But, he is begging for mercy. The previous sect master of Yuan Mozong. Fang Ping's eyes narrowed slightly. Yes, the suzerain of the Yuan Mozong generation is also my disciple. Seeing that there seems to be hope of survival, Anya continued with excitement, I can give you anything you want, as long as you let me go. Fang Ping lowered his head and thought. More powerful power, eternal life, supreme power, as long as you want, no matter what, I can help you get it. Seeing Fang Ping thinking about it, Angia said even more excitedly. But I just want you to die. Fang Ping raised his head instantly and looked at him with a grim expression. Angia's face froze instantly. Boom! He punched his head, and countless barren pale rays of light poured out, covering his body and the surrounding flesh and blood. A ferocious big mouth was looming in the light, devouring it frantically. Fang Ping looked at its corpse with cold eyes, took out a piece of toilet paper from his pocket and wiped the green blood on his hands. Old thing, full of lies, how many years have you been imprisoned here? Let me play with the magic lamp and make a wish, when I am a 3-year-old child. Devouring the life force in the flesh and blood corpse, Fang Ping threw the paper ball that wiped his hands and left here. After a while, Fang Ping came back, picked up the paper ball, put it back in his pocket, and left again. Clear waters and lush mountains are invaluable assets. No littering. In the house of the heart of the heart. It seemed like an endless sea of black insects, completely surrounding the entire house. Countless black insects swarmed the entire courtyard. There's nowhere to go. Several huge insect demons kept attacking the disciples of Tianxin Yimai. The two worms formed a powerful magical barrier that trapped Tian Xuanzi in the backyard alone. The insect demon's combat effectiveness is very poor, and it is simply Tian Xuanzi's opponent. But the resilience of the two worm demons was terrifying, and Tian Xuanzi was completely trapped by their tyrannical life. In the other second courtyard, Luo Yongye and others were completely surrounded by the sea of worms. But the inner energy they swayed out, because the sea of worms directly surrounding them did not dare to approach because of the powerful toxins. When Fang Ping left here before, he upgraded the poison in their bodies. Although their previous toxins can also cause huge damage to these black bugs. But it couldn't force these stubborn worms to dare not go forward. But after Fang Ping used the essence to enhance and sublime the poison of the sky poison art. This can be done. Moreover, the sky poison in the body made Luo Yongye and others stronger again. After giving the lives of countless insects, Wanzong also knew how difficult these people were, and only trapped them with a sea of insects. And for some unknown reason, he always felt that there was some kind of temperament in these people, which made him feel very kind. Well, toxins from the same ancestry and the same origin will naturally feel friendly. Therefore, what he mainly kills now is the group of people on the opposite side who are weak, do not have that kind of terrifying toxin, and do not even feel friendly. Give it up, your struggles are meaningless, ha ha ha. In the house, Wanzong in black robes laughed excitedly. Countless insect seas madly attacked and Xinghua and his group of disciples. Destroy evil and vicious, exterminate ghosts and form, destroy the army with 3 lights, and bestow mighty spirits. And Xinghua recited the mantra, and 3 lights of the sun, moon, and stars appeared in front of him, and the 3 auras converged into an illusory light sign. Reach out and wave, Lord. The strong aura mixed with the inner air instantly swept away the many black insects in front of him. It's just that there were too many black bugs, and the vacancy that had just appeared was instantly filled with black bugs again. Damn, swish swish. And Xinghua's face was ugly and he kept waving his aura, constantly brushing away the black worms in front of him, but those in the dark were still getting closer and closer to them. Jia Jia, why bother, you have worked so hard to protect them, and they will still die in my worm's mouth in the end. Seeing that Xinghua was protecting those disciples, Wanzong Jia laughed strangely. It's just that the surface is so vicious, but at this time he is also secretly anxious in his heart. Have those 2 guys done it yet? The worms that were trapped in the capital were about to kill me and escaped. If it goes on like this, I can't take it anymore. Cursing at those 2 guys in his heart, Wanzong is still trying his best to command Zonghai and those insect demons, besieging and dragging as many people as possible. But seeing that Xinghua only died a few disciples, most of the disciples were protected by him. Fang Ping, who was hiding in the dark, frowned slightly when he just rushed back. HMPH, what a waste, I can't do this little thing. Fang Ping snorted softly. Wanzong over there was stunned, and looked around with some doubts. Who is talking to me? Because just now, there was an angry screeching sound in his ear. The next moment, when he saw Fang Ping, his pupils shrank. The whole body is instantly cool and the heart is flying. Dead souls rush. How did this evil star appear here? Almost scared to pee by Fang Ping's appearance, Wanzong was about to run away in an instant. Stop! Kill these people! The next moment, Fang Ping's lips slightly opened, and his voice sounded in Wanzong's ear again. Wanzong's body froze, and before he could react, his incomparably strong survival instinct had already helped him make a decision. Kill, why are you murdering people? Aggrieved, poke hands.jpg. Wanzong returned to his senses and rushed towards Luo Yongye and the others. Fang Ping slapped his forehead speechlessly. Idiots, not them. Oh. Hearing Fang Ping's scolding, Wanzong immediately turned to Xinghua and the others in a wrong direction. Since he knew that this group of people would attack them after they returned, Fang Ping would naturally not be polite to them. Obviously they can take the opportunity to solve them now, why should they fight back after being angry? What if they are going to kill you? Maybe they are a group of people who don't die now, but after that, Fang Ping and the others will not be bullied. When the time comes, the two sides will have a grudge, they will continue to smack, and they will continue to resist, and the hatred between the two sides will deepen. With the character of this group of people, they will definitely be tempted to kill them. Rounding up, fast forward, this group just wants to kill them. Whoever wants to kill me must die. A fierce light flashed in Fang Ping's eyes. What? A scream sounded. When Xinghua saw Wu Yongping, who was completely submerged and swallowed by countless black worms, his eyes were split. Yongping. It was already very difficult to fight against these black insects, but after Wanzong joined in, Engxing was finally unable to protect. The leaking empty crotch made Wu Yongping drown instantly by countless black bugs. HMPH, how dare you be distracted? Seeing that Xinghua dared to be distracted and saddened by his disciple's death in the face of him, Wanzong snorted coldly. 0. Although facing Fang Ping, he was very cowardly. But in the face of others, he is super fierce. Boom. In an instant, Xinghua flew upside down with blood spurting from the bombardment of all insects. And without Xinghua's protection, his remaining group of disciples who liked to study the dark theory was instantly submerged by the sea of worms. Boom. At this time, there was a loud noise in the backyard. Fang Ping frowned when he sensed Tian Xuanzi's swift aura. Roll. He still has to rely on these 10,000 insects to feed his acupuncture points and mouths, and now he can't die. And heard Fang Ping's voice roll. Wanzong didn't hesitate in the slightest, and his entire body turned into countless black worms in a split second, merging into the sea of worms and escaping everywhere. Wanzong is very clear that Qingshu Mountain is not a place where you can walk if you want. With such a big movement, it is absolutely impossible to think about going out in a big way. In addition, he just wanted to get away from Fang Ping quickly, so he chose to disguise himself as a bug. Just get hurt a little bit, he doesn't want to be with Fang Ping for a minute anyway. As for why Wanzong is so afraid of Fang Ping, this point, the director of the Special Mediation Office of Dingyuan City is probably the clearest. He stood there and listened to the screams for half an hour. To say how miserable those screams are, it is not enough. After all, he only had nightmares for a few nights. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.